I said it. I corrected it. I wasn't wrong. So on your screen, you see predictions. Now, it's a cool little feature. That's the first time I've seen this actually presented as an option from a tournament standpoint. If you go to the link on the screen, you can make a prediction. You can do this tomorrow before a BO3 starts, and you're entered almost into a competition with other viewers to see who can be the best predictor or the best analyst, I guess. If you want to look at it that way, you're kind of like an analyst. You're part of the stream. You're part of us, and you're part of Scrawny. And for our final match, we do have compLexity versus Splyce, who are now in the banning phase. compLexity have taken out Overpass. I'm really unsure where the maps might go in this situation. But two teams who haven't been the hottest, I suppose, is the fairest way to word this lately.
Yes and no. I mean, Splyce did just qualify for the next season of Pro League.
That's true.
They did just bring in Ro8 right before that happened as well, and they had a decent enough showing at the MDL LAN. So I would say that Splyce are still a kind of step ahead of compLexity, but it's compLexity, in my opinion, who have kind of just gone off the radar. They've been relegated out of the ECS League. They have not been playing in both Premier ESEA or the Pro League there, I believe, for 2 seasons now. So they're just kind of, floating and still remaining somewhat relevant. Of course, they've got Slemmy, Desi, the UK players, Def Surreal, and then my favorite player on the team would be Android 23. So I think that they still pack some firepower. They certainly have the pieces to be a competent team, but unarguably, Splyce are just more relevant right now. It's a shame that Splyce actually weren't able to be in the America's Minor qualifier, because I argue that they actually could have been a relevant team at that event. But again, that doubled over with the MDL LAN, and it prevented them from competing. So kind of unfortunate. But still relevant are they moving forward. But this map pool from compLexity and Splyce, I think that Train's going to be a really cool middle ground. Splyce are no strangers to Train, but that seems to be a bit of a home map for compLexity. And then we have Inferno pick from Splyce, which intrigues me because I actually haven't seen them play that map personally. And then Cobble, again, a map that I would argue goes the way of Splyce. So these are the maps. Train first, Inferno second, and Cobble if we need it. Do you think we're going to need a third map, Seaside? What is your prediction?
Well, if we look at the recently five games played from these guys, Train has been one of them on the compLexity side. They played a team called Jaguar. They 69 them. Splyce, on the other hand, they played Train recently and beat Pain in overtime. So both teams are coming off a win on Train. Splyce showing that they can beat Brazilian talents on Train. Brazilians typically do enjoy the way the Train just plays out for them. Same with Cobblestone, which Splyce also have a W over Pain on Cobblestone as well recently. So, I mean, I think Splyce have been looking okay lately. Although, take away the BO3s from Misfits and Penta, I think they're a competent team. I think with the add of Ro8, he brings a lot of just firepower and just insanity to matches. Drone's been very consistent. If you've seen the match from, or the video from Launders, where he does an interview/video about Drone, it tells you a lot about the kind of player he is and how impactful he really is. And then you kind of have just the older dudes who have been around forever, kind of the rocks of this team, right? You have Arya and Semphis. Semphis, a Canadian guy, the IGL, the squad. Arya, the big brain, the guy that's always been around for a while. And then you have Rix, who buys P90s after they win Pistol. Admirable. I don't know. That still triggers me.
But
I don't know if he stopped it, but he does do that.
I believe currently, actually, it's Arya calling for Splyce.
Would it be? Okay.
As recent as MDL, he was the tactician there. I believe Semphis is kind of, still holding that role of being like a secondary caller. He's always got that strong input because he is a vocal component of the team. But so you're absolutely right. That's kind of like the core of it would be the Semphis Arya tactician strategy combo. But then I think what's most exciting about this lineup is the Rix and Roka are back from Echo Fox.
Yeah.
That's one of like the go-to narratives that I always like to highlight whenever we talk about Splyce, because I think it's cool to see that showing again. Obviously, Echo Fox not really being the most successful of projects, and while Sean Gares walked away with Shazam towards Misfits and has found international success, it was Rix and Roka who landed on Splyce. And while they haven't necessarily had the opportunity at those kinds of lands, say DreamHack Tours, they had a good showing again at the MDL LAN versus Pain Gaming, a series that actually reflects this map pool for the most part. and then again just qualifying for Pro League next season, and just putting themselves in a good spot to succeed in the near future. It's not like they've been disappointing. It's just they haven't really had the opportunity to give us that next level. So we don't know where Splyce stands exactly, which is a big question mark. But at the same time, again, compLexity is going to be one of those question marks as well. compLexity, a team that just hasn't really been at too many international gigs. So this is, again, just a little domestic lineup or matchup rather, that at the beginning of the day, I thought if there was going to be an upset, it was going to be here. I thought maybe compLexity could best Splyce depending on the maps, depending on the day, and depending on whether or not certain key pieces showed up. We got our upset with Ghost versus Luminosity, however, and now there's potentially still room for a second one. But whether or not that's going to unfold, we're just going to have to wait. I think that it's at least painted into a nice little picture, and that this should be a really fun match to watch. I hope that we're going to get the explosive play of guys like Ro8 and Rix, and that hopefully somebody on compLexity can stand up as well. Because again, I kind of like to praise Android 23 as being one of those players who can just go off on an individual basis. I believe that Surreal also has certain games where we see that from him, and while I haven't watched much of compLexity since their edition of Desi, he's also known to be one of those players who can just kind of single-handedly take things into his own arms. So we're going to see what happens, but not just yet, Seaside. We're going to have to take a brief break before we do come back with the first map of this series. So don't go too far, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the CyberPowerPC Extreme Gaming Series 2017, and we'll be back in just a little break.
Ladies and gentlemen, on this 5th day of July, in the year 2050, I, Lady Gillespie, am proud to present to you Toothless Hawkins and his robot jazz band. I want to be
Sorry for the delay. We're back, and we are ready to go Splyce vs. compLexity, the final BO3 of the day, to decide who goes on to tomorrow. And this should be a interesting BO3. Two teams that are comparable, but Splyce, we did give them a slight edge when it comes down to the nitty-gritty.
We're going to be seeing Splyce start off on the defense. Execution-heavy preparation for compLexity? Possibly, seeing as they have the double smoke and triple flashbang still in their pockets. It is, of course, a standard little setup here. Slemmy keeping his eye out for T-Con. 2 players pushing Ivy, and 2 head out to the Brown Halls to just gander at the B site. Desi's going to keep his eyes locked for the upper push, and that actually allows for Def to now rotate towards ladder. So he's going to be the second man setting a smoke, and then across towards Ivy as well. But look at this aggression from Ro8. He's going to come up, and he makes a step, so Desi hears it, whips back round, and pops his dome from the backside. That's going to be Splyce, man down, with a minute 10 left to play off of.
Ooh, Drone may catch Surreal out with a nade, and he will, but he can't clean up his kill. And that's just Android swinging from dumpsters. Now it's all on Rix to try to clean this up. And compLexity, content with really what's been going on. Drone feels pressured to push down there due to compLexity getting the opener. Def has already pushed up on towards the site. The bomb is now going to find its way over here as it's Semphis in a 1v5. Now that's one hell of a way to really start off a pistol round.
Done. I mean, Ro8 had a good idea as to what was going on. He saw, of course, that initial cross, and then thinks there's some kind of a ruse going on. But unfortunately for him, he doesn't check left. He commits to right, and that was incorrect. Costs him his life. So, Semphis, at this point, just keep your Kevlar. It's going to be a cheap reinvestment for the helmet if he does not get tagged whatsoever. And right now, compLexity are just hunting for the frags. I mean, they're clearing out all the corners, and it's a matter of time before they double back towards their spawn. Maybe Semphis lives, maybe Semphis dies.
Oh, little awkward shoulder peek. He's like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to tuck in here.
Oh, the bomb breaks his armor.
That's not $300 head armor anymore. And he dies anyway. So it's really a sad story. Not a free upgrade from the bomb, and then dies in the end. compLexity clean pistol round by the AKs, by the SMGs. And now things are not looking too hot for Splyce, at least to start this one off. They will be on upgraded pistols, a couple sets of armor and utility, as Arya is going to be saving the Opper. The old but deadly Opper on the side of Splyce.
Nice little headshot from Desi, but he does take a lot of damage in that engagement. Again, it is just pistols for Splyce, so they shouldn't walk away with the round, but at least Desi's been softened up. As has Semphis, sitting on 8 points of health, so his life also in jeopardy. As is the entirety of this A site, as compLexity gear themselves for the execution. Now, Def's got a MAC-10 from really far away. That cone of damage doesn't really hit its target, but Android's AK cleans up Drone, so 5 versus 3. We've got the T's moving in. Rix finds one headshot to Surreal, who drops Ro8. But that's all Splyce have found for now. Slemmy going to activate the device as Semphis creeps out from Ivy. Near gets the angle, but it is just Rix now 1v4.
Just a CZ, 12 bullets in the clip or magazine. You know, whatever makes people happy. I'll say both to appease both people. As Def, the one-handing MAC-10, gangsta style, cleans it up, finds Rix. compLexity now will be up 2-0. Splyce may buy pistols here. Maybe Semphis will drop P250, buy P250 himself. Arya's still saving for the op. Semphis is the only one who may go, you know, I'm just going to pick up a P250. But nothing purchased as of now. As it is going to be compLexity just picking up an AK, keeping the couple SMGs they had rolling forward. It looks like it's going to be 3 players towards upper brown. Bomb's going to stay towards T-spawn. Desi's lining up a flash. Surreal is lining himself up. If you notice, Surreal looked at the wall and actually lined himself up. That's a preset flash compLexity of practice. That way Def doesn't have to look away from the flash when it pops. As it is a stack, though, from Splyce on towards B, so looks like they're getting a little itchy, though, when it comes to heading towards the B site.
The old vanilla pistol bomb stack. Not going to work out for the time being, seeing as compLexity have their eyes set on A. Arya is over here towards the Z connector, just kind of playing that last floating defense, but once the T side executes in, they should take this with absolute ease. There is no reason to even really lose a player at this point. Although, currently, Surreal is just lingering towards the B site. So if there's one guy who's playing alone, maybe he goes down. You'd always hope for the trade frag, but if you can take a bomb site in the round in return for 1 death, it ain't half bad. Surreal spotting targets, hearing more players move around. He's just read that this is the B stack, and immediately compLexity gear up for A. They just overwhelm Arya off the Z connector. The plant's insured, and Splyce will lose this round.
No luck whatsoever. He had to gamble for it. compLexity will come out on top of the full house. My poker references are a little weak, so I know full house is definitely not the best hand in poker you can get, I think, depending on a lot of variables. I'm just going to leave it there as Def comes around the corner, trying to farm up a little bit with his Mac 10. He'll get 1 for his troubles before he goes down. It's not even really worth saving for Splyce. I think at this point they're trying to bait in compLexity into a false sense of come kill the Silent CXPs and try to deal some damage. This is going to be 3-0 though for compLexity, no matter if they live or die, as Desi has to be careful. He doesn't want to lose this AK, and he may. Now, Surreal's going to try to run for it. We'll see if he's going to get there in time, actually. He should, right? No, the AK went in the corner. He doesn't spot it in time. So, you know what? Splyce win, compLexity lose right there. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, a bit of economic damage. Still a 3-0 start on the T side of Train, which is fantastic for compLexity. They're going to be able to find their op, and Arya takes one as well. Now, okay, I saw this at the MDL land. There are certain maps or certain setups where Arya will take the primary op over top of Sempis. And luckily for Sempis, I think that he is actually still a very good rifler, despite his stubbornness of becoming a primary op. He can always fall back to this, so we can't count him out on either of the weapons, and Arya himself is actually quite good with scope weaponry on Train. Actually, I'm going to allude to it before it happens. If Splyce's economy gets healthy enough, they'll give Sempis an op, and Arya's going to start buying auto snipers. I guarantee it. He is a player that very much advocates for it, and I think that he does it right. Very safe positioning to ensure he doesn't go down, spams shots downrange, and really can curb the pacing of a T-sides like compLexity. But for the time being, compLexity sets up with 1 player towards Ivy, 1 in T-Con, 3 on the Brown Halls, and they're gearing up for the B site, where, interestingly enough, Ro8 plays back. Normally he's a forward player, but Sempis is going to be close here as well. Ro8 moving somewhat more close to the drop down, but for the time being, compLexity just wait. They've got 45 seconds and all the nades to play off of.
Yeah, Surreal's still out towards T-Con. He's going to be late up here towards Upper Brown as Desi's going to work his way out a ramp. He has to, certain smoke he has to line up and throw, I imagine. Yes, he is going to be throwing the backside smoke. Actually, he's getting told to throw something else. So now he's going to reposition for the Z smoke. It's going to go flying out as there is just still 1 player here from Splyce. They're a man down, so I can't really afford to over-rotate in this situation, as it is all on the player on top of site. Ro8 yet to be spotted. Great movement to get up here, but Desi shuts it down. He peeks for that, and Ro8 must be a little concerned of who clears that, as they will trade 1 for 1, still in favor of compLexity, and now the bomb is ticking away.
Ro8's been making that play from that position since his days on compLexity. That's a spot he very often plays, so I'm not surprised actually to see compLexity check it. If you know Ro8 on Train, you know he's up there. Sempis from afar is able to drop 1 shot. That was right as drone was about to walk off, but I think now they've actually second-guessed their save, and it looks like they're going to kind of come back towards it, or at least ensure further exits. Surreal tags slightly. He's still pinned to the site. Sempis finds the frag. Android creeps out from the oil tanker, but he too traded back, all thanks to Rix. Def, caught with a knife in hand out towards the E-box, will be the next to fall, and despite Splyce surviving with 2 players up, it is still the round for compLexity.
Jeez, still yet to find a frag is Arya. 1-1 is Ro8 and Drone. A rough start. compLexity looking good on the T side, and it's kind of been a thing going down so far, where everyone's T side of Train seems to be standing tall so far, at least off the beginning of every map we've seen. As the op's out from Surreal, Arya will get it back out himself. Famas and UMP come into play, and it looks like Arya this time back green spots Desi, but in return he spots Arya. So he knows that there is an op just posted onto him. As Arya spots Desi, can't hit the shot, and Desi will find the dome of Arya. Sempis pushing up on the edge of this smoke. As Drone will clean up Desi, as Sempis just trying to play around the smoke, and it's shut down. He will be, as Drone's the last one alive for Splyce back sight. That molly's going to force him out, as Surreal's going to show up to the party.
Android still gets another duel going his way, though. That's Ro8 and Drone down. So compLexity starting with that 5-0 start. Great stuff from them so far. I mean, they've been able to change both their target of the A and B bomb site. We've seen multiple executions, walls of smokes at both the early kind of section of the round, but also later on. So nice to see Splyce actually call their tactical timeout this early on. They're 6 rounds deep into their CT side. They're not going to be able to field a full buy in this one. So they'll have the opportunity to discuss approaching this eco, but then also the follow-up buy. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see Splyce invest nothing into this round, get the full round loss bonus, and then get onto that auto sniper versus op that I was talking about. Arya will pull that out of the bag very early on the CT side for Splyce, and I think now's the time. We've seen compLexity just try to kind of group up and execute heavily into sites, not necessarily splitting both between A and B, but rather fielding their whole roster into one of the 2 bomb sites. So that's where the scoped weaponries from afar can pay off. Then again, the smoke executions from compLexity have also been very good. They've blocked off the defenders. They've prevented the entry fraggers from going down early. And a lot of space has been created by the front men of compLexity. So for the time being, this is a very good game from compLexity so far. And Splyce need a response. Best way to find it? Take a breather. Take a pause.
Yeah, think things through. Maybe go for a half buy here. It's just you know, you can justify it. You have some cash, not too much. As long as Arya avoids the 007, which is always doesn't feel too good because there's always someone in the server that points it out, whether it be a player on your team or someone on the other team point it out for fun reasons. So it is just going to be a half buy. Pistols, scouts, and everything will come out. Now, I know how deadly Arya is with a scout. He actually helped carry me in MM. He got me to Silver 5 Scrawny, so I'm getting better and better every day that goes by, thanks to late night MM matches with Davey and Arya. And Arya does work with a scout, so nothing would surprise me if he's able to deal some damage with that, tag some players up, and the pistols can clean it up.
He does position himself towards Ivy Train. Trying some cheeky wall bangs towards the top of ladder, but nothing hits just as of yet. He has been able to actually scatter the offense, though. They're wary of those shots, so they put themselves further into the brown halls. Again, the B-site defense comes between both Ro8 and Semphis, pushed forward aggressively. Arya rotating between Zed is just keeping an eye on upper, so he thinks it's going to be B, seeing as 3 players have their attention trained this way. However, compLexity, so many options are still open. Again, they have all the grenades in the world. There's no aggression from Splyce towards Ivy, so they don't even know if there's a setup outside A right now. We can see that with Arya just still shuffling back and forth. compLexity have done a very good job of keeping Splyce guessing.
Looks like Def's getting ready to go out. Gonna wait for a smoke and one more flash, I imagine, thrown from his teammates. There it goes. Def's gonna be the first one around the corner. There's a player sight. He won't check spools. Punished for it. Semphis makes him pay as Semphis flies up the ladder. Ro8 tries to peek close. His Slemmy actually takes down a teammate. So all in all, an even trade. Splyce maybe didn't really work for it. compLexity will bring that to an even man instead themselves as Arya with his scout. Still trying to find some scalps with it. Yet to find a tag. Slemmy's gonna shut down Ricks, and now all these players are one-hittable with the scout. So Arya's gonna go for some exits. I imagine the round is out of reach. He picks up a flash, and you may see Arya either A, fall off, or just try to find that player that he knows he has trapped to sight. Even if he dies for it, it's almost kind of worth for the damage dealt.
Lemmy does a good job of just bouncing between cover until he finds the escape. Arya's going to move back to the A site and try to find something of an exit, but there's nobody here. compLexity content to keep all of them alive, and Arya dies to the bomb.
Wah, 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 wah.
Are you kidding me?
Alright. And I was told to avoid the... Okay, that was a good pun, actually. I can't even be upset about it. Congratulations. You win. You win the internet for today.
Double op, not a auto sniper. So still the buy that Splyce had planned into. They make a little bit of a change up for their defense, and it does come up with the 2 cannons. No auto, not yet. But we'll see if this still works out. Surreal's going to get fully blinded. However, he still sees targets. Arya hits the headshot and falls back towards the site. Desi's already been able to get out onto A, and Drone from afar is going to get whittled down to death. The headshot ultimately connects. Desi still a problem towards the A site, but Rix trades it back and takes the man advantage.
Android shot down from Rix, so the double op starting to prove its worth as Splyce cut down complexity at the knees, leaving it all on Slemmy. No utility, no support, no teammates. Literally, his crosshair is right on top of Semphis's head. And Semphis, as the smoke starts to clear, will find him. Spots the legs first, finds the final shot, 6-1. As now we'll see another buy from complexity. They've built up a little bit of a nice bank behind them. As Splyce will stick with the double ops, we'll see rifles bought up. I imagine someone may drop drone, a UMP, or a FAMAS or something like that. Just so he can get full utility, yeah. So the FAMAS gets tossed over his way, gets utility behind it, kits are out. As complexity are still looking comfortable with their buy, and we may see some aggression from Splyce with Semphis with the op. Looks like he is content, though, to just sit at ramp to start off this round.
They find the solution, but does the solution work on back-to-back rounds, or do we find Splyce getting hit with the hard reset? There's so many smokes pluming on A that Arya is able to catch the headshot to Desi. Now, Rix makes a lot of racket. Android capitalizes on the opportunity with a 2K to his name. Roka roasts one, but it's still complexity with a man up, two of which towards B. Roka just trying to dance around the train yard as the T side starts to peel off of this. Frag Grenade's going to soften up Surreal, drop to 57 as Slemmy sits in 3/4 and Drone has to rotate over. Roka's going to get burned out and up close Surreal hits the shot, so now it's up to Drone. He's able to find one frag, but Slemmy plants the bomb, and this is a big clutch on the table.
Ooh, tapping away down range. Drone finds Slemmy, and that's it. So Splyce get number 2, picks up the op, 3K from Drone, and that's a clutch you like to see. As the bomb will get defused, Splyce will get 2, and more importantly, that's a round strung together. So that's not a punch of the economy. They're going to be sitting steady. Complexity, 2-round loss, bomb planted, up 6-2. I think a half buy is justifiable here, maybe even a full buy. You can get 3 AKs out, 2 players on SMGs, buy the utility, send the SMGs out towards Ivy or down Pop Dog, and let them fly. So it is just going to be a draw. Okay, I like this. I like it. Slemmy drops over the AK, I believe. I think that was what happened. So Slemmy, although he had cash for the AK for himself, drops it over to his teammate. He'll be the utility man, as Android will have none whatsoever. So, you know what? Not a bad buy for complexity, and they've had no problem getting into B and getting the bomb planted. So I think that's a justification behind this.
Complexity have the nades to execute into the B site. With only 2 Tech 9s, this makes absolute sense. So the flash goes out, fire does as well. That burns Desi down to 60. Roka finds the frag and doubles down to Surreal. Semphis as well, finding himself the bomb planter. Roka with a 3rd, and a fantastic hold of the B site leaves Slemmy 1v4. He tries to flash his way out, and Roka is fully blind. He shoots one shot straight through the skull of Roka. But Arya, with the op, is going to trade it back again. So Splyce, they start this off with a 0-6 scoreline. They take their pause, get to the double op setup, and it actually now converts into 3 consecutive rounds, pushing complexity back down to pistols and giving them the opportunity to still bring back this half. It's not too far gone, although arguably complexity have already done their job.
Good pick from Arya, who's seeming to start to find his stride now when he gets the op a bit more consistently and has started to play back ring / back A site. He's really started to hit some shots. Complexity with no armor, just some upgraded pistols. Leave it all down to Slemmy, Depth, and Desi, who have 1 flash to their name and 3 deals. So we may see just an attempted bomb plan, attempted anything really. Just trying to find a couple skulls of Splyce and splatter their brains all over the place. As Def is about to peek this, timing just off. As Rick scurried his way in towards the ladder room, crosshair placement just off. As it is just Desi and Slemmy now to try to find at least a little bit of damage. Arya needs to be careful where he keeps his hat. As it's just going to be Roka and Arya to find the last 2, though. So we're going to be seeing a 6-4 Splyce. How quickly they've turned around this half by stringing these 4 rounds together.
How things start to turn on their head. Luckily for complexity, they're still going to have enough to come into this buy. It's going to be a full one at that. All the bells and whistles and nades they could ask for, but no op present. And that's a bit of a problem. Arya calls problem at the start of this round, so hopefully that gets dealt with. They're going to ask not live. It's all live. We're good. Okay. There's no problem here. Don't worry about me, Seaside.
I ain't worried about you. I know you're in a good place right now. So Def pushing down in towards Upper Brown. There is a smoke on the other side. And he is just content to sit and wait. Even with a flash in from his teammate, he doesn't really want to push too far until that smoke dissipates, and that's exactly the play. Second flash in, he'll now slowly push up. And again, it's a Roka alone towards B. He does have some support this time from Semphis way back outside of Z. And Arya seems to be very itchy to want to rotate. He wants to rotate. I think that's in his game book. He wants to be that quick rotator with that up. As compLexity, you're wondering why they're breaking the glass. They're lining up some smokes towards the A site.
We're going to see compLexity go back into their more stable setup, where they take control of T-Con, where they put their players towards the brown halls, and just try to watch for a push from Splyce. But Splyce no longer have that double op setup, so if they wanted to get aggressive with riflers, they could certainly do it. We'll see if they can hold the line, though, as compLexity use grenades to take control further towards the A site. It's a wall of smokes on the outer yard and flashbangs into Pop Dog. But the CTs are here and ever prevalent, with 4 defenders poised, ready to hold things off. Rick's boosted on the site, sees targets aplenty, but Slemmy able to grab 2 frags as Arya drops the bomb. Semphis comes in, dropping bodies at least towards the site, but it's still a 3-on-1. Turn back, no, to a 2v1. Excuse me, Roka's all that's left, and he's gonna flash his way out, but it costs him. Up close, he gets his head kicked in. Android saves the day.
Man, there were 8 seconds when Roka threw that flash, if not 9, I believe. And if he would have just waited, held off a second, waited until they picked up the bomb, they're making noise. All he has to do is kill the planner there. They didn't have much time. They almost were obligated to plan on the back side of site, or I guess the front side if you're a T. He was almost forced to plant that bomb, and now a pause is going to come out. I believe this is a... actually, we don't know whose pause it is. If I had to guess, if I was a betting man, I would say it is a tech pause due to Splyce not having 5. I've put the dot pieces together, and that is where we stand. So Splyce do still have a fair bit of change. Rix is going to be a little lighter than his teammates, and he hasn't even bought yet, so we may need a drop from a homie. And we may even see a glass cannon op from Splyce, because a lot of the success has been found thanks to Arya working around the map with the op, really. Even if he's just getting 1 pick around, it's kind of been the difference maker to allow Splyce to have more wiggle room.
There's been 2 clutch rounds so far this game, and both of which were won by drone. So that makes a bit more of an impact on his frags. But unfortunately for drone, he's had a lot of rounds where he's been absent. I mean, a 3K in one, a 2K in another, and then I believe one was a one-off 1v1 clutch. So that's 3 rounds with kills as far as he's concerned. And we are now 11 deep. So a bit lackluster. As far as consistent impact across rounds, but then again, compLexity did have that super strong start. And while Splyce were able to bounce back with 4 of their own, this is compLexity's chance now to get their show rolling once more. They're kind of against the wall, however, seeing as their investment is heavy into this one, and really all their money is on the line. So the CTs just need to make sure that they can reset the terrorists at this point and continue on what was going to be the comeback, because all of a sudden it is in question, not only because of the score that compLexity already put on the board, but also the money that Splyce have in this round. As you alluded to, it's not going to be the best of buys, and yet is a crucial victory for them.
You know what I'm happy with so far this game? I think you already know what I'm going to say.
I have no clue, and I'm worried.
No P90.
Oh, from Rick.
I'm actually content with it. Yeah, they didn't win pistol, so I think that's the main justification behind it. He just loves the P90 after they win pistol. And, you know, I'm content with it. I'm content with him not having that. Although winning pistol would have put him off at a better foot, right? compLexity win pistol, and they're able to string 6 rounds together off of it. Splyce had a little bit of spree with 4. Now we're back at kind of like a standstill where compLexity can kind of pull the game back. Who knows? It's kind of in limbo right now, with compLexity kind of teeter-tottering on having to take an eco. I believe there is an AK on the floor there for Desi. Let me take a little fly over there and take a peek. I think there's an AK on the floor for compLexity, so it's a full buy, full utility. The op even on Surreal, so we're just waiting on the buy from Splyce. But I imagine someone will drop Rix, and it is all just coming down to waiting for Arya to jump back up into the party.
Yeah, so while we do wait for the party to get started and for Arya to return, let's have a party of our own by kicking it to some tunes. We're just going to take a really brief break here while we wait for him to rejoin. Do not fret, my friends. compLexity versus Splyce will be coming back your way the moment he is back.
We're back. Hope you didn't miss us too much. But if you did, I'm single. Scrawny, maybe. I don't really know the status of Scrawny. I wish I did, actually. You know, maybe that's too personal to ask him. You know what? I'll ask him later. We're back, though. Galil out from Slemmy. Rifles out for everyone else. And Splyce do manage to get the op out on Arya. Although it is a glass cannon.
That is true. Ever so fragile is he. Placed towards the A site, where we have actually seen him make quite a bit of an impact off the back of the green train over down towards Ivy. He's remained mobile within the A site, and then he's also the rotator towards B. So it's always actually really cool to see an in-game leader who repositions himself based on his calls, right? So he has a very good understanding of what's going on and who's going where, and that leaves the rest of his teammates to just do their job more simply. However, it is Rix who gets convinced to fall back to the A site, seeing as he's down to 1/5 his health. That frag grenade certainly hurt. compLexity gearing up towards B. They've just left 2 players towards Brown Halls. And honestly, I will give credit to compLexity. They have a very nice slow setup on the train T side. They're able to really kind of keep Splyce honest, keep them guessing, and then execute at the later portion. There are rounds where it works out. There are rounds where it gets shut down. And it's Arya to lock Def out of the site. First and foremost, 30 seconds left for the execute in, and Surreal himself hits the shot.
Bomb's gonna go down now, so he's gonna stick to Semphis. Good dink, good cleanup, and he leaves it to his teammates, and he leaves him with a man advantage. Slemmy, good spot, good kill in Aroka, as Surreal immediately trades it out. This may be a 4K round for him. A quad is on the horizon, as of right now he has a triple, and it comes down to timing. Rix will throw some shots down range and will just swing while reloading, and Surreal will say thank you and goodbye until the next round. compLexity, thanks to Surreal getting the opener with the op, finding the frags that his teammates could not, will send them to an 8-4 scoreline.
I'm no pro, but I feel like peeking while reloading is never a good idea.
Never. Well, I mean, if you had the P90, you wouldn't have that issue, right?
Got
I
a
feel
point.
like I'm beating a dead horse, aren't I?
I mean, you've brought
dead
that up
Rix
more
a
than
little
Wardell's
bit.
Bison.
Listen, well, okay, that actually
that's
triggered
an
me
issue, I
more,
mean.
and I didn't want to go into it. You know what? We should call him about it after, because that's just dumb.
3P250s for Splyce. The economic struggles are real. So they could have reset, but instead it is they who get pushed back to the pistols. Def with a jumping MAC-10 headshot. Slemmy with the ump, able to find another one. I mean, this is a round in the bag for compLexity. They have no excuse to win this. Reason, rather. No excuse to lose for compLexity, but they have lost 2 players, maybe a third, seeing as Slemmy's on 1 point of health, but it is Desi from the back lines to catch Semphis's spine and grab compLexity. 9 rounds on the board, 1 short of double digits.
Nine to 4. You're right, 1 off double digits. Slemmy's gonna stick with that UMP. Not gonna update it, so he'll keep rocking with the old news when it comes to riflery. Splyce again, the glass cannon, this time out on Semphis. So whoever can afford it, perhaps that goes into their hands. This time it's Semphis to be the man to wield it out in his big arms. You see how much that man can squat, by the way? Damn,
Yeah.
he can definitely squat something. So we'll see if he can frag out with his glass cannon. Those nades must hurt. Almost 100 HP nade out onto Ro8. Squatting aside, Roka's gonna have to squat into the next round as Drone waiting for this molly to dissipate. Semphis will spot that player pushing top red. That nade shot just misses. So compLexity catching some lucky breaks when it comes to Splyce's rotations and just catch him looking the wrong way.
Further frag damage onto Def. He is still standing at 49 as Arya catches Slemmy on the back lines, though. That's going to be a good opportunity to retreat for the majority of Splyce, but Rick stays committed on the angle. Now he hears the footsteps to the left. He's going to see it thanks to the gap under the truck, so that's a kill on Desi. At least damage dealt, but damage is not enough at this point. compLexity about to find double digits. Hey, Rix does more damage. Now it's enough. 3 frags on the exit there. Just dwindling down the numbers of compLexity. Surreal's going to stay up, but of course they have the cash to reinvest, and it is the 15th round. So I see why they pushed it, and it is Rix who is able to stay standing. Excellently done, seeing as that weapon will be crucial. The reinvestment for Splyce will be a struggle, as will this 5th round. That's the best they can hope for. Seaside is number 5, as compLexity have 10 and possibly an 11th.
All right, going for the opener. Look at the crouch there. If he's standing, you may see just a pixel at the top of Slemmy's head here. Now, he has no clue that the op has moved up into this position. That nade didn't go as deep as Slemmy would like. He is lining up a flash to allow Desi to peek this. So we'll see if that pick is going to go the way of Splyce momentarily. Keep an eye on Arya and his HP pool in the top right to see if he finds the frag. Well, Semphis is pushed up aggressively towards T-Con, and Arya will end up finding Def. And he knows Desi's close. That shot just off the mark. Desi may get caught jumping here. No, still hasn't taken a single bullet as Arya, feeling risky enough to repeak it, flashes his retreat as he has support from a rifler. In the meantime, Drone towards a site, finds the bomb towards Sandwich, and this round's very awkward and all over the place right now.
Especially since the rotation hasn't come out from the CTs. I mean, they're trying to get Ro8 back through Zed, but they have no clue where compLexity is at this point. So Android catches Drone looking the opposite way. That's going to leave his teammate to grab the bomb. Desi needs to rotate forward that site. Android's looking for the afterplant towards ladder. Now, Ro8's rotation should be red. Arya's going to be the question mark, but Android's currently trained on this angle, and Arya's got that off. Arya peeks out, and it costs him. Down he goes. Ro8's position revealed as he switches to the Deeg. Not relying on the MP9 versus Android's AK, so it's going to have to be one hell of a headshot to make this happen. He fires twice. One connects, but it won't be enough. That's Android with a 3K on the round and an 11th for compLexity.
Man, they're coming out all hands are swinging right now as compLexity. 11-4. Now, we said we didn't really know how Train would really play out. We've seen Splyce have some W's on it. compLexity had an odd W here and there, but it's looking really comfortable for compLexity on the T side. 11 rounds is nothing to really point a finger at. Splyce really have to turn it up on their T side. And the thing about it, when you have a good T side, the other team has to have a better T side. Now, as weird as I feel saying that, it's true in that concept now, because compLexity are playing better than you. They're hitting their shots. Now they have the favored side. You're going to have to come out and almost be a new team when it comes to the T side and how the pace you're playing at. So we'll see if Splyce are really gonna be able to turn it up here. I'm actually surprised. I know complexity have been playing well when it comes to the Fragile Alpha online, but that's not the kind of tier teams we have here in this matchup in this kind of tournament right now. So I kind of want complexity to succeed. I know the British invasion may have had its faults at the beginning, but I think time may heal all. Mr. Jason Lake.
One can hope. It was a shame to see complexity get relegated out of ECS, and I'd like to correct myself, actually. I had said before this game that complexity were relegated out of both of the pro leagues, but they're actually still in the ESL Pro League. I was wrong, Seaside.
It's all right, man.
So
I'm wrong every day. Every time I wake up and I'm like, I'm actually going to go work out today. Wrong. So don't worry, dude. I'm making life mistakes. You're making minor mistakes. You're on the right path.
Does that make you wrong or does that make you weak?
Probably both.
I'm just busting you, Seaside. Don't you worry.
Well, I need to be busting it, but I can't, dude. All right, this just got...
Pistol round is ready for us to talk about complexity now on the CT side. So this is going to be one of those situations where if Splyce aren't able to win the pistol, or at least upset with a force buy, their job goes from hard to far worse. And it's already not looking great. At least Arya's setting up a smoke grenade for the outer yard. That's going to be coupled with the pop flash, so the T side should push forward. But they wait a moment. No one's blind at this point, but Ivy is blocked off. Slemmy and Def have some shots to try and find, but it's droned with the opener onto the head of Def. So 5 versus 4 here to the T's favor. Slemmy gonna swing it back with 1. Rix tries to plant, but there's just no cover. Ooh. He's managing to get it in, but it's still now 2 players up to the favor of the CTs, leaving it just to Roka, and he too toppled. That is complexity with the pistol.
Well, that's one way to start off your CT half. Now you're going to be on 12. Splyce have to take a force buy. Now, they did get the bomb planted. No one got a lot of kills, though. I think they got 1 frag in that exchange. So no one can pull... They can't pull an LG where they buy an AK around Tech 9s. It's going to be an investment into pistols, even though they got the bomb planted, which... It's going to be a Galil out on Rix, interesting enough. Now, again, it's another situation where I'd love to see that Galil thrown over to someone who has head armor. Now, again, maybe I'm being too nitpicky. Maybe I'm not right to say it in the context of what the team's up to. But it's just little things like that that I notice maybe you get more out of it. But hey, Tech 9s are equally as OP, so who knows?
Passive little play here from Splyce, just trying to keep complexity in check. Nobody getting hyper-aggressive, although Def is in a forward position, currently at the bottom of Pop Dog. So, there's definitely room for an error here from complexity. They could get caught off guard by these pistols up close. Even the SMG of Drone could come flying downwards. But for the time being, with the nades going towards the B site, Splyce actually re-engage back through the locker room, heading towards their spawn. So... what are they up to? They still have a smoke on Arya and a triple flashbang. That can, of course, be used towards the A-site entry like we saw in the last, but it's Rix who lingers towards ladder, and that's not the man with smoke.
Android just going to sit here. Full trust that his teammate will have the ladder covered. Android's just going to be using E-Box as some cover if he needs to duck, dodge, and hide behind it again. Slemmy. Good time nade will land right at the feet of the members of Splyce as they just crest the tip of Ivy. And Slemmy's going to spot them coming out. Good shot on drone. Looking for some more. Roka peeks into it, but it is all complexity. Clean frags across the board. And they have yet to lose a member. And now Rix will pounce with his Galil to at least get one. Back down the ladder he will come, and that's where he'll fall. Complexity get 13, and Splyce's force buy gets them nothing. And the time they dwindled down, they couldn't really afford to do so, really.
Nope, you're absolutely right. So, complexity shut things down. I do feel like they were trying to go towards the B side at first and that they just kind of walked back for whatever reason. They didn't feel comfortable pushing forward. Arguably because it would have been read like a book. Complexity had the defense in position not only for the fast flank from Death, but also just to hold the site, fire in hand, etc. So they decide to fall back, and again, that leaves them with very little time. This round leaves them with very little weaponry, or armor, or nades. It is just 4 P250s and a Glock. Desi gets aggressive, and he could line up targets as he finds the head of Sempis, attempts to retreat further back down as Drone will give chase. That's 2 more players dead, and Roka with a trade frag, but he grabs himself the ump, and that's something to work with. Goes barreling down the ramp, soaring through the sky, and ultimately to his demise as Desi hits the headshot and compLexity find 14.
Well, now Splyce almost buying for their lives here. They lose this, still have a little to no cash. It'll be a 4-round loss, which, $2,900. Not really much to write home about. It will be barely anything, as they're going to fully buy down here, and there possibly could be the last rifle round here in this match, which is crazy to say. compLexity going to use some utility early towards T-Con, keeps Arya at bay in the corner. He'll take 1 damage and 1 armor tick for that nade. That Molly's actually going to force Arya out, I think. Is that going to spread to him? Is Arya the luckiest man in the world? Look how that Molly spread. That is actually unreal for Arya as he gets 2 for that. The Molly caught, if no one noticed, on the lip of the green train and spread in the air, so it didn't even touch the ground. So Arya has to be pretty happy with how that played out.
We got airburst Molotovs, smokes being gobbled up by the floor.
We're just breaking ground over here.
Literally. Defense towards the Ivy side will come in the form of Slemmy, but he's currently sitting inside a smoke. Might get caught off guard by the aggression. Splyce just congregating their units. All 3 of which are here. Bomb not yet spotted, and it does bring up the rear, but that's Slemmy to spray through the smoke, finding 1. Drone down for the count, 3v2, and compLexity poised to find OT, unless Rix can clutch in a massive round. He's got himself the smoke, and at least he's got the bomb. Full HP, but he never sees it coming. Android exploits the verticality and does find overtime secured. So we saw the comeback attempt come from the Brazilians. This time, Splyce needs 11. Exactly what they needed earlier.
Well, and the buy from Splyce, as I said, is anything but impactful. A Tech 9, an AK, 2 Galils with no utility. The AK has no utility. They have 1 smoke, 1 nade. And Surreal's going to get aggressive. He'll have all the info in the world. Roka and Sempis have been standing in mollies together for what feels like 20 years. As Sempis will burn alive, I think he got body blocked. This is just getting awkward, and it's going to be put to rest soon as Arya's in a 1v4, and Rick's already left. Oh my goodness.
My goodness.
That's gross. That's just disgusting.
I mean, that's a dumpstering by definition. 16-4, no pistol rounds, all the conversions. They get 4 gun rounds thanks to the pause and double op setup, and then even then, once the money wasn't healthy enough, we saw compLexity take back control. They started using a lot more smokes on the A site as well, just kind of blocking off Arya and closing the distance onto him. So I think that was just compLexity coming into train very well prepared and clearly asserting themselves. I mean, Android has an individual performance that is out of this world. I kind of brought him up before the match and said that he would be the X factor, or at least one of them. And that's kind of an example of it. I mean, Surreal as well, with only 8 deaths, just constantly impactful. You know, 3 of the 5 clutch rounds all go the way of compLexity as well. So that's kind of icing on the cake when you're already having such a hell of a game. Ultimately, just compLexity through and through with a convincing win. Can they swing it back on Inferno? I think Splyce need a bit of a break to mentally reset.
Well, while we all take a break momentarily, I want to remind you guys all the awesome giveaway we're doing. Go to that link on the screen. It's cyberpowerpc.civo.com/giveaway, and you can enter into your chance to win that awesome keyboard. 3 solid-state drives are up and a video card. So we'll come back with a conclusion, the final BO3 between Splyce and compLexity, with compLexity 1 map up over Splyce.
second guess. Don't second guess yourself. You can't win this time. You say it's not your fault, but you just can't deny. I can see it in your face when you tell a lie. And now you change your story, you try to say we are the same. You can keep on dreaming, but I won't fall for these games. Don't try to hold this up, it's falling in front of you. You act in desperation, you've got nothing to lose. You're coming back with me. Stop you, but you're back with me.
Asa, dudes. Welcome back. Hey, Complexity Splyce. This is map number 2. You know, we're on Inferno, and Complexity has a chance to knock Splyce out at early mornings of, what is it? Is this Sunday already? Yeah, it is Sunday. Happy Sunday.
Today is the day of God.
And there is a chapel on this map.
Coincidence? I think not. Complexity
Definitely not.
on the CT side, and maybe Splyce will need God's grace if they're going to come back from that first map, because my goodness, was that a spanking. I'd say for the back of Android's individual play, Surreal as well had a great game, and it's Surreal to find the first frag this time round. Semphis gets dropped off of mid. No one's watching the cross. That's going to leave him with a salty taste in his mouth. We're going to have the T side continuing forward towards the Balk, though, so they will find a bit of presence on the map, but Desi brings up the rear of the caboose, and he takes one before going down. Rick's able to trade as Ro8 finds the plant. 4 versus 3 retake for Complexity.
Ooh, Ro8, good dink, good kill on the death. So now, back at it even, man. Both teams as Riggs. I think it was a burst Glock from Balcony. He's still going for the burst. Android's going to show you why not to use it. As Android's in a 1v2, low HP, good tap on drone, looking for this last player in sight. That's Ro8. 1 bullet elects to reload. As he tries to find the head of Ro8, Android's gonna push in. Ro8 will say not this round. As Ro8 gets a 3K, and Ro8's gonna relieve a little bit of stress and anxiety with a little bit of a control crouch.
Look, you want to take a crouch on someone's face, you make sure it's not the guy who just wrecked you.
You make
on
sure you win the
train.
previous match.
Yeah, you're coming into this one, but that's a little flair. I like that. I like that Splyce still have their attitude. They are a very rambunctious team. Again, I got to watch them play at LAN at MDL, and they were very kind of vibrant with their shouting and whatnot when it came to playing versus Pain. They were just screaming individuals' names so that they could try and get in their minds. They've got a lot of attitude, a lot of personality on Splyce, and I think that's one of the reasons you can actually like them. However, they got dumpstered on Train, so you need to give respect to your opponents. And especially Android, because again, he had such a crazy individual performance on Train. I don't know if he's going to be able to translate that further into the second map, or if Complexity in general will be as good on Inferno as they were their map choice. But either way, we did see a near retake attempt there from Android in a 1v3, and it's just rude. It's just rude, Seaside.
Rude boys? I mean, there's nothing like teabagging to get out some frustrations, though. You know, you've just got absolutely smacked around on Train. Your IGL's mad at you for not following basic calls, and then you clutch it out. So, might as well relieve some of that tension. Some of that built-up tension. Now, normally you have the bells on this map that you can shoot to relieve some tension. Unfortunately, now they are just painted on the wall. So that option's gone. But Inferno, I like Inferno as a whole, Scrawny. Let's dive into the argument for Inferno. What do you think of the map? Do you like the changes? Do you like Inferno? Do you like where it's going? Do you feel it's competitive enough? You know, what do you like? What do you don't like?
I like that they kept the skybox low over towards the B site so that you can bounce Molotovs into the site and clear off, say, oranges. And the back of new box. So I like that a lot of the core components of the old Inferno were still kept forward. I personally really like the remaking of Banana. I didn't like the arches on the side and all the kind of awkward cover that gave you. So I'm an advocate for the cosmetic and structural changes, but I still think that apartments need to be reworked. I think there's a lot of wall banging that goes on that should be kind of prevented. And I'm also a big fan of the amount of boosts that have kind of been facilitated both on A and B. The half wall next to the CT cross, that very same half wall which is kind of next to the porch on apartments. Again, you can boost up on top of the small rooftop, but then also the small balconies next to it. There's lots of options that you can explore on the new Inferno. And options that will be explored once this game goes back live. But we're still paused.
Warden's back. The old boys are back in town. That's, you know, Warden's been around forever. He has so much going on in his brain, you know. How long has he been coaching Complexity for? God.
Warden has been coaching Complexity since I started playing Counter-Strike in 2013. And
So,
anything
that's
before
been a
that,
while.
I don't know about. That's when my knowledge starts.
Jeez. Well, that's a fair bit of knowledge. So we're live. Complexity upgraded pistols, 3 smokes, couple flashes, Splyce. the lone AK, and they actually run Semphis across. It's kind of irrelevant due to him jumping back. If he sneaks up on the right side, you don't really spot it, but compLexity do have numbers here.
My goodness, a mow down from Roka as he finds 2 frags, but that's Surreal on the other side of the smoke. Gonna get snubbed out thanks to Semphis. He just tries to get himself back into the cover, but the ruse is over. Android rotating back from the A site. Now that's the A site that Android plans on locking down. I messaged him in between maps. I said, hey man, incredible individual play. Good job. I called you out before it happened and you stayed true to my word. And he told me that if they go to the A site, he's going to kill everyone and that he will have just as good of a performance here on Inferno.
You messaged
So, what's that?
Who told you that?
He did himself.
Really?
Yeah. So he's feeling confident after the first map, and as long as the Splyce players target the A site, they will have him to deal with. Again, that's his dedicated site. But right now, it's gone to the B site on the conversion of the pistol, which makes sense for Splyce to convert. Still 2 frags found for compLexity, and Android keeps the CZ with Kevlar to boot. So something grandfathered forward here for the defense, but it's going to be another pistol round before we get into the meat and taters of the segment.
I don't know about you, but I could go for some meat and taters right now. We've been casting for a while. I think. Well, you got on the you did the one this morning, then you started back up at what 6:30ish.
Yeah, but I don't eat after midnight.
Really?
Yeah, it's not good for you.
Is that because you can't digest it properly?
Just not good for your body.
Yeah,
you
I know.
Go to bed on a full stomach.
I'm fat and I'm hungry, so I'm gonna eat. You know, like I know it's not good for me, but that's how I got to where I am right now. So I'm gonna do it.
They don't call me scrawny for a reason.
Well, that's good. Good points. So compLexity have 3 members on towards the A site. They're rotating Slummy off towards A early. So a nice rotation. It came down to Android peeking down Banana to really figure out that info. And out they come. Semphis gets 1. Desi gets 1 of his own with a silence USP. Desi actually gets 2 as Slemmy long range. This gets really scary now, as it's a 2v2. Android has armor and a CZ, and it's in a 1v1, and around Splyce, Bot, and compLexity had 2 upgraded pistols. As Rix will pick up the bomb, has a smoke and a molly. I'd like to see him use both of these. Molly will keep Android at bay for now. Now, there may be a gap for Android to sneak by. Instead, he's just going to sit and wait, content to wait it out.
We saw him near clutch a 1 versus 3 in the pistol. He's got the CZ, and this time it's Rix, not Roka. AK advantage goes to Splyce clearly, but timing works out for Rix. He trains his attention back towards Arch side. Android meant to lose that duel, considering half health and the sidearm, but Rix is able to lock things down. So here we have it. Splyce win the pistol. Splyce convert their points. Everything has been par for the course since the start of this T side, but it is compLexity with some weaponries, and we shall see if they put up a fight.
Desi, good deep smoke now down towards Banana, and Desi is just going to sit behind the molly, then push up behind it. Semphis, in the meantime, has to deal with the smoke in towards mid. And Splyce have no one really spotting this aggressive push from Desi. They're very focused on towards A apps and mid right now. And there is going to be a resmoke for Desi to sit behind. They're going to rotate Def. So that's an interesting smoke from Splyce. I think Adrena actually found that one. EU Adrena's Android just going to smoke himself off in pit. Has to deal with some nades. Good thing he has Slemmy there to help him out, as there's 2 players in sight from or pit from compLexity doing some work until Rix shuts one of them down, and Rix hits another one while moving onto Def. And now it's just Desi in a 1v2.
Yeah, he is starting to creep up from short, and they might not expect him this close, especially since the flash just rained over, but he gives up the shot to Drone. It's been revealed. He still hits Rix, and all he needs is another bullet to connect to the head of Drone. Drone has to cross and grab that bomb. This is in the control of Desi. Desi's going to try to catch him with the off angle, and he does. compLexity pick up that first rifle, and a big clutch from Desi, catching the T side off guard, just kind of sneaking behind their offense, and ultimately closing one for the favor of compLexity. But a difficult spot to find yourself in, winning the first gun round with only 1 gun moving forward. So it's going to be the triple ump Single M4 reinvested with a whole lot of nades. compLexity can still hold the line with this kind of a buy. Don't get me wrong, it's Inferno. The ump plays into this kind of play, but at the same time, it is not M4s. It is not ops. At least they have utility.
Oh, Slummy taking some significant molly damage. He's going to leave Def at sandbags. Slummy's just going to play around the corner. He's going to flash now. And he's almost baiting for Def at this spot. As the resmoke comes through, Def is going to move forward. We may see Slummy come with him to go for a little bit of a cheeky boost here. But it looks like Def is just waiting for a counter boost from Splyce himself. And as that smoke slowly starts to dwindle down on its time that it can stay bloomed, Def is just going to fall back safely now. Splyce have 3 smokes and a couple mollies themselves for a full execution. But the one thing compLexity have going for them right now is how Desi's starting to lurk over towards B. I don't think they're doing this. Okay, I thought at first Slemmy's like, yo, let's go. And Def was like, no. So they will boost Slemmy. And we'll see if they clear Def as he's going to wide swing and they'll both drop. So not the best hold you've ever seen coming out from compLexity. As it may just be an instant save call, though.
Yeah, calling saves preemptively on Inferno is incredibly important because the bomb sites are always so hard to retake, especially B. At this point, 2-man disadvantage. You know you've dealt damage to Splyce, so some of these players tagged up, and I mean substantially so. Arya 15, Dro 10, Roka 32. Unfortunately for compLexity, it's not like they get a kill in the first kind of 5 seconds of that retake, so they really need to hard save. But Rix has crept his way behind them, so he could very likely actually catch off maybe 1 or 2 of these players. As the entirety of Splyce start to save towards spawn, they're bound to run into Desi. Desi, of course, just banking on finding some frags, and he will take 1, but Drone swings it back. Surreal's going to try to take his place, so extra damage could be dealt, but Surreal doesn't gamble it, and the long con from Rix does not pan out. So compLexity keep 2, Splyce will keep 4, and that's certainly going to favor them after the reset.
Well, we'll see how much compLexity are willing to put into this one, and the answer is quite a bit. Pistols armor around this, I mean, they're down to 1,400. Might as well go ahead and gamble buy into this one. As Def is the only one to just buy a Deagle, so he's going to be doing a little bit of saving. Surreal gets himself in towards Spoiler. That nade will do barely anything to him. 2 damage. Surreal, I imagine he's just going to hang out around here for some time as Splyce spamming some smokes, waiting for some aggression play from compLexity, knowing that compLexity don't have all too much to really work with.
Boosted Deagle from Desi. Does not do much as of yet. Smoke grenade to the bottom of Banana, so this could lead to compLexity taking some forward map aggression, which would actually put them in a really good spot to start flanking onto Splyce, seeing as Splyce have 4 of their guys coming up mid right now. So yes, Desi, playing the opposite side, if he were to walk through, could catch these targets, and the rotate from compLexity is on point. They don't have the weaponry to hold this off, but they certainly have the positioning. Splyce, 45 seconds left, could always rotate back if they get a bad feeling, but seems like they want to commit. They're using their grenades quite nicely, clearing out the pit for the most part. Septis to make contact as he goes down to Android. Crucial headshot here from Android, who is incredibly lit. Drone and Roka taking another 2 leaves Def on the site itself, and that Deagle pays dividend as it finds another frag and a headshot as well. So Desi, 1v2, has picked himself the AK, and he's got to come up big if he wants this round for compLexity. Knows the man's up close, and he hits the headshot to Roka, just down to Arya on the other side of the boxes. Desi can play this patiently, but he doesn't have a kit. Checks the left and he takes it. Big plays from Desi and a massive clutch for compLexity.
Nothing like coming up big when your team barely invests pistols. You're down to $1,400, and that round is the one you turn around of all the rounds so far. 4-2. It's a big one for compLexity. Splyce will take a look. They will have cash, bomb plant money, and everything will be bolstering this a little bit of economy they got going for them. But compLexity, got to be happy and content with how that panned out. There will be no op for compLexity nor Splyce. It's looking a lot like AKs across the board for Splyce and rifles across the board for compLexity. All right. Quick dot problem, but we live. Although, I'm surprised Arya is letting this play out live, although Semphis is just... We tight? Semphis is all right. We're good. We're back in it. You've done it, now I've done it. But we're still live, so I like it.
Early banana control from compLexity between two. That's Desi and Def to set the cross. Immediately rotating Slemmy back to the A site, and that's where Splyce have their eyes set. At least for the time being. It's only Ro8 to try and keep Banana honest. Now the problem is with that last round, Splyce got onto the bomb site before they realized that quick flank to the bottom of Banana. So they have no clue that Desi was nipping at their heels so quickly. And again, that option's on the table. Ro8 just lingering towards the bottom of mid. Has to keep an eye on it. But for the most part, this is still Banana in the hands of compLexity. T-side starting to set their execution off of the couple of nades they've thrown up and over. But no push just as of yet. 45 seconds left.
compLexity pulling Slemmy back over towards the B side as they have Def pushed way down in towards logs. And they actually catch Desi peeking top Banana. Do they clear this for Def? Yes, they will, and he won't get a single frag for his life. And it may be another one of these situations where it'll be an instant save call from compLexity. They can't even deal with Rick, so I think it almost has to be a save in the situation as Rick's through the smoke finds Surreal. And that is just heart-wrenching for compLexity. 2 rifles down that they probably wanted to save. Android wants to desperately find Rick's at the very least. But this is going to be Splyce's number 5. And another reset for compLexity. 2 back-to-back.
Yeah, that's been the story of these last 3 rounds. It's just been bouncing between the two teams. So economic stability has not been on the table. And that trend shall continue as Splyce are able to squeak another win. But Android at least grabs 1 frag here on the exit. He needs to keep this M4 up, but he knows he's being boxed in. Semphis coming around mid, gets spotted and killed. Android doing a very good job of taking 1v1s, and he finds himself another. Great damage from Android. Gonna try to fall back, but he near gets round that corner. Arya able to catch him before he fades away. Still though, even though he loses the gun, I'll give it to him. Android keeps up the impact. And when you're trading back and forth rounds like this, that's decent enough. It's going to keep the economy low for Splyce. We can see the hindrance here with a couple of SMGs purchased up. But they also know that compLexity are economically struggling. It makes sense at this point to keep those weaponries and then to, of course, assert them versus the compLexity team that's going to be no armor, hopefully. I would hate to see a force buy. Just start to get that banker rolling.
All right, so we're jumping back into this. Yeah, the banker needs to start rolling again as Splyce are looking good on the T side at least.
Can I make a complaint?
Fire away.
So I think that Inferno is one of those maps where utility is so important, you need to emphasize it over getting these sorts of buys. Sure enough, you're going to have a double save, so some players will just think, buy anyways. We have to save the next, etc., etc. But if we're going to look at the amount of grenades that they'll have in their next buy round, I guarantee it's going to be lackluster, and I hope for their sake it doesn't cost them. End round.
And /S. Like it. Good. Book it. Remember it. Chat, it's up to you to remember this as well. We'll come back into the rifle round and see how much, if they're going to have those mollies to slow the pushes. Deep mollies in towards Banana to see if they can find a frag and isolate some Splyce members. Those are critical to have as Desi, again with his deagle. You might just eat your words because their buy round may come sooner than we thought, unfortunately, Scrawny. Is you never sleep on the deagles and pistols. As Ro8's in a 1v2, good clean kill on Desi and cleans it up for Def, so never mind. Ro8 saves the round for now for Splyce, and we'll even get $300 into his pocket. But that got scary close.
I was clenched, I'll admit it.
That's a
I was a little worried.
Yeah.
But in the end, it doesn't work out because the reliability of it is ever so low. Once Ro8 knows how to deal with it, he does so. 12-5 is Ro8 right now, really coming to life here on Inferno, as is Rick's 10 kills currently to his name. So the firepower of Splyce, a little more present on Inferno than it was Train. They have already found 6 rounds here on the second map. More so than they did in the entirety of Train. It is just pistols yet again for compLexity. Now, I will give them props. On the pistol round, they buy only 1 P250. So nobody wanting to spend anything whatsoever. This might actually mitigate the purchases in the last one, but we shall see. Ro8 with the AK, gonna catch Android out. That is the first frag found for Splyce as they group up towards the balcony. They want to just charge into the A site, but they're wary of the stack. With Semphis getting dinked and then killing Dizzy, he should just come out wide. But he's actually just going to smoke it off and wait. So not looking to throw themselves into the meat grinder. That could be a stack bomb site. And it currently is. What is left of complexity still stands, and that will be Slemmy with Surreal. Both players down for the count. Splyce leading by 5.
Well, this is definitely not Train, and you can see why based on the scoreline. As Splyce... It's been kind of a weird match, though, where complexity win first rifle, immediately reset. Win the round after that, only to get reset again. Splyce stringing 3 more together. As we're hit round number 10. Double up from complexity may be the answer here on Surreal and Def. We know that both of these Brits like to wield the op. Maybe this will be a game changer as Def lines them up. He will deal damage onto Roka after he finds one frag, but Desi gets nothing for his life. Now, ultimately, if Desi gets a frag there and is able to fall back, that's all in all well and done, but Rix is still being an issue towards mid. Surreal may find Semphis, but it's almost not enough.
Not yet, anyways, but he flashes his way through. Doesn't see the player in the corner. That's Roka, who goes wild on the left click. Able to still pick up that frag in the end, but this is so damn clutchable. Slemmy with a Molotov and a frag versus 2 incredibly lit players. But does he know? I guess not, because he's not going to fancy his chances, and he is just going to go ahead and save. So Slemmy gives this one up. Complexity forfeiting an 8th round to Splyce. Splyce with just sheer aggression up Banana. The first shot there from the Opera on Banana actually kills one and collaterals the second, dealing a whole bunch of damage, but not taking him down. That bomb's going to deal additional chip, but Splyce will keep 2 players standing and move into the next. You know what would have really slowed down the pace of that round, Seaside?
Oh, some utility?
Yep.
Huh.
But at the same time, instead of... They have 2 options, right? You can either use the utility to try and take control of the map, or you go for an aggro peek. They at least played into the strength of the buy that they had, so I'll give them credit for that. But I'm not an advocate for those aggressive kinds of CT plays on Inferno. I'm more a fan of that passive map control. I think it's a map with a lot of bottlenecks, a lot of choke points, and so you just got to use the utility to its strength. Like they are right now towards Banana. Smoking it off halfway, Molotoving deeper. Look how that Molly's going to flush players away from Splyce. Why not do that in a gun round? It's a fantastic play.
Well, no answers yet. Slemmy gets boosted. And, well, Arya spots him first. Looking over the smoke, you can spot the players on top of Broken Wall. His teammate will lay right beside him with the same death animation, as Def is going to be able to fall back into sight. Sit and wait for Splyce to come slaughter him. As Def has no armor, 1 bullet will send his crosshair to the skies. And he is able to clean up Semphis. Nice second one onto Roka before he will lay there floating, waiting for his body to decay in the water to get all pruny. We all hate that. As it is Surreal now in a 1v3. Gets himself in towards Chapel. But this should be Splyce's number 9, though. Maybe Surreal will find some parting gifts, but that's about it.
Splyce have been doing a very good job of isolating this B site anti-eco. And then changing up and going towards A for the rifle rounds. They've got very nice presence through the apartments. They have nice little set executes over the top of the walls as well. We've seen them smoke off Archside, smoke off Library, and then just pinch all around the A site. And then when they head to B, it's much more just kind of a hammerhead assault. They smoke off CT Cross, which is incredibly standard. Just Molotov certain corners and just kind of stampede in, which is always fun to watch. But here we have it. Complexity back into the buy with a double op setup once more. This time, utility coupled with the rifles themselves. We'll see if this is enough to turn the tide back to Complexity's favor, but it's a 7-point lead regardless for Splyce, and they still have an op of their own on Arya. This is now Arya opping across both maps, and that leads me to believe there's some changes in the roles of Splyce, whether that be just here tonight or in the future moving forward. Regardless, Drone does what Drone does best. He entries up with the opening frag, burns Desi alive thanks to the Molotov of Roka and his damage dealt, but that's still the 3v3 with both ops standing on Complexity.
And Def got 2 there. Good job on staying alive. Now Android about to have his hands full. Rix comes jumping out. Instead, he walks it. As Arya's just going to walk out behind him. And those are the 2 of the easiest frags you'll ever see Android get. As Semphis finds Surreal. He's banking on Android taking a peek here momentarily. As look at Def. He's not really fully rotating yet. As Memphis is going to be able to isolate Android, and due to Def taking so long to rotate, it's a free plant for Memphis. Question is, how safe is it with Def being posted up already with the op? Memphis will use a molly behind him. Now Def knows he is in sight. Jump up, and Def finds 3. And not only does he get a 3K, compLexity gets a 3rd. So all in all, not a bad round for compLexity, but what it is it's expensive. It's a very expensive round for compLexity. They have been reset every time they win a round, and I don't see why this is going to be any different. Splyce have cash, compLexity have to rebind 4 members, and if being reset in the final 2 rounds is just heartbreaking, especially on the favorite side. But again, from what I've noticed, Scrawny, correct me if I'm wrong, for some reason, NA teams are better on T side of Inferno than they are CT. It just seems to be a pattern I'm seeing.
Yeah, statistically, that is correct. I think it was you and I who had that conversation with DDK at the ECS studios, right? I was going to say, I feel like I've talked to you about this.
Yeah, we have, yeah, in a different life, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so DDK brought that up to us and explained how he didn't just explain, he proved to us statistically that is the case. NA teams just seem to hit it on the T side and struggle with the defense. You could argue that it's because Inferno is very rotation-based and that the choke points can be exploited. There's multiple reasons you could allude to, but currently on the A site, we will have the defense tested. Def's trying to rotate back through library, but Drone's already leading the charge. Def's able to catch Rick, so that does force the T's to come in from one direction, but they do so with ease, clearing out the 2 defenders and leaving this to the 3v3.
Desi's trying so hard. He knows Arya is in pit, but that's such a crushable safe spot. So hard to spam it and find the mark. As Slemmy, he's running it out here with the FAMAS, gets spotted. Memphis is in the typical boost spot. So waiting for that smoke to dissipate. Desi was getting boosted over top spot. Memphis finds the frag. There's one more in sight. That's Drone immediately traded as it's all on Arya. Can he get the 3K onto Def? He runs out of bullets. And Def will say thank you. That's 2 3Ks in a row for the man. And a clutch. As him, Desi, and Android will all be sitting around 12 frags. 11 for Android, 12 Desi, 12 Def. As they are just kind of being the rocks right now for compLexity. As they will not get reset this time around.
Yeah, we saw Roka and Rix really come to form in the beginning of this half, and they've even continued that forward. I mean, 30 frags combined between Roka and Rix, 14 rounds deep. That's fantastic. But now we're starting to see an individual play from compLexity that can counter that of Splyce. Like you just mentioned, Def with 2 crucial 3Ks back-to-back to avoid that hard reset. Something else you had mentioned, how compLexity have yet to do this. So this is a crucial moment for them to find that consecutive round. It's going to avoid the hard reset and actually put Splyce's economic state into question. So it is now Splyce who have a lot on the line. And if they're not able to win this round, we are going to see them back to the pistols and only round 3 loss bonus. Of course, they've gotten back-to-back plants as well, so silver lining for the T side. But we are getting towards the later portion of this half. It'll be a force in the next with whatever's left over. Big opening frag from Rix as he hits the headshot through the apps. That's Android down for the count. And only 1 player left defending A. Now, luckily for compLexity, they still have 3 guys stacked at the B site, and they have yet to rotate one off of this. Slemmy seems confident in the hold.
Memphis is lining up a smoke here. That is going to be, I believe, a spool smoke. As Surreal, in the meantime, finds Rix, the lurker, towards A. Now, if you kill Rix on the opposite side of the map, 9 times out of 10, Splyce are going to the opposite bomb site. So Roka's going to try to work in. Molly separates from his teammates, but it is just a one-man Roka fake as his teammates have transitioned back. Not ready for Surreal. The hops are real, though. Was that Memphis flying by? Damn. He put on his dancing shoes as he just foons his way by, baits out the shot, and that may be the turn in the round.
Slemmy never lets off the movement key as he sprays down with the ump. So it will be compLexity securing the man advantage, but they're going to continue this retake after Slemmy swaps to the op. So 1 op down as Def gets dropped. Desi is now spotted. Memphis takes the frag and cowers into the corner, but that's the perfect play. Forces Slemmy to calculate his decision, and he decides to go for the save. Falls back yet again to move that 1 rifle forward, but that will be for the 15th and final round of the half. Splyce giving up the consecutive rounds, but not letting the 3rd shine through.
They will at least save the op out on Slemmy, so that's some money saved, but that's not much cash really to work with. They didn't really build up much to begin with, as they had to clutch both those rounds. They had to clutch 12 and they had to clutch 13 thanks to Def. So they're very, very low in cash. SMGs will come out if a Moss comes out. The op gets tossed over to Surreal, and they barely have any utility. So this should be an 11-4 half, which, you know, if the facts reign true and T-side is preferred, maybe this is a good half for NA. Who knows?
That's a big pick for Surreal, so thank goodness Slemmy moved that op forward. It does net complexity their opening 5v4. Now, we can see how Rix, who has previously gotten aggressive through apartments, is just going to wait for his team to come in from mid, and that's where Semphis peeks through the smoke, taches Surreal. That's the op now down, and Def as well traded back thanks to Semphis. Great timing here for Splyce to keep themselves moving as a single cohort, but Android is up here, and he's got himself one. He's going to have to go for the reload. It's still the man advantage, thanks to him for complexity.
And Desi's making a ton of noise as he pushes up here. They're going to stop the plant because they know they're close. No, they actually did stick it. Slemmy gets a trade. You're right. Doesn't let go of the movement key as he knows where Android is. Can he catch him? No. Arya's going to get pushed. P250 finds Slemmy. No scopes in the books, and it's a quick one onto Android. Shout out to Arya. The old gun still got it, and he's firing on all cylinders. 11-4. And that's heartbreaking again. A man advantage thrown away from complexity almost. Well, not almost. It was.
Absolutely right. So here we have it. Tail of the tape after the end of the first half is an 11-4 lead to Splyce. They get the pistol, they convert. We get that kind of wishy-washy back and forth in between the 4th and 7th rounds. But that's when kind of momentum took over. Splyce are able to add consecutive rounds to the board. Finally, complexity gets something. They don't get hard reset for a 3rd time. And then yet again, Splyce bounce back with those last 2 rounds. So certainly a one-sided affair, even for the T side of Inferno. This has Splyce written all over it. I mean, I think that complexity struggled with the rotations there. All too often, there was an execute coming from Splyce with players still lingering through CT spawn. And that's the problem with Inferno, is that you need to commit to rotating. And if you don't get ahead of the wave, well, your players on sites get outnumbered, and then that forces saves. I mean, how many times did we see Slemmy just retreat with a weapon in a desperate attempt to keep complexity relevant in those gun rounds? It's tough to watch. Complexity coming off of the hot 16-4 victory on Train. It was a tough half, but it's not over yet. Let's not count them out. Can they bring this back to at least a respectable score? The second half is about to begin.
Well, get out on Arya, the man who clutched it in the previous half final round. As Complexity will have Glocks across the board. No utility, which I love utility on the T side of Inferno. I think one smoke, a couple flashes, and you're looking nice and hot. As Roka's going to take a peek towards alt, spot the small Roman army of 300. And what? Just, I don't even want to know. Roka just hits the flick upwards, will fall to Desi, but the floodgates are open.
Clearing out this A site is the offense of complexity. Rix on the rotate already, takes one, and goes down. Android with a frag, Desi with another. Arya, 1v4. He's got himself the kit and the smoke, and a kill. So he shall keep going onwards and forward towards the bomb site. Gonna try and smoke things off, but it's with the smoke in hand that he gets caught. Headshot connects, and that is it. Complexity take the pistol and get a start, at least, for their T side.
Well, it's a start to something. You're right. Maybe it'll transition to more. Splyce, you can do the typical buy of armor, upgrade to pistols. And you can see kind of the preference across the squad when it comes to pistols. There's 2 CZ players, 2 5.7 players, a P250 player. As Arya is just going for minimal investment there. So his makes sense into his role. As Complexity is just going to settle out across the map. Look for any pushes. You see Desi spotting alt. Surreal will worry about mid. As 3 players can control Banana, and Banana control is very important on a map like Inferno. It's nice to keep presence here. It's nice to keep one player. It keeps the rotations hampered and slow, which is critical on a map like Inferno, just due to how long rotations take. And if CTs get the drop on you, it's fairly easy to hold the choke points on these sites.
Smoke comes out for the CT cross, so Semphis responds with one of his own. It's going to allow for him to play that 5-7 quite aggressively. Meanwhile, Complexity themselves start to prepare for A. Again, so many grenades for complexity to play off of, but they are just down to the one Molotov. That should be held onto to clear out Pit. It would actively counter the position from Roka. Meanwhile, Def takes 2 at the B site. Now we're going to see complexity execute in. They'll smoke off the CT spawn to ensure no rotation, plant, and hang on to the 5 versus 3. Splyce, hopefully, knowing Inferno, having picked it, should just save. Move that Kevlar and the pistols forward into the next, group up, turtle shell, and ensure that you don't go down. This is complexity just converting as expected.
Yeah, it'd be nice for Splyce to hold on to this. Looks like Roka's just going to sit in pit, has drone with him. Complexity going to be doing a little bit of hunting. I'd like to see them just throw Slummy and Def here. Maybe not Surreal around the corner. He may lose his AK here, but it looks like they may be onto them here shortly, as it is going to be Slemmy. Or Def, excuse me, the first man out. And that is a MAC-10 picked up if they want it. And Desi has to be careful. He can't repeat that. So, you know, a MAC-10 picked up if they want it. Roka will hold on to it. And it will weigh, it will work a little bit here into the next round. As it's better than no pistol on, for example, like Arya or Semphis. Throw him the upgraded pistol. You take the MAC-10 because you have armor. They figured it out, and that's exactly what they'll do.
Again, a conversion point that should be for complexity. They spread themselves out, though. So not just looking to group up and hit together, but rather just at least play for the early map control. Try to keep Splyce honest. You never know what kind of crazy antics you can get up to on the CT side of Inferno. I mean, there's always those kinds of carpet bombs you can throw down mid or banana. Kind of gimmicky in one sense, but at the same time, if you let your guard down and just charge into it, they can very easily catch you out. Seeing as this was the 3rd round of the half, it is going to be a near full save. 5-7 for Semphis, Kevlar on 3, CZs in the MAC-10. Again, a lot saved from the last. But Def clears the first corner. Above, Slummy takes 1 to the back of the site. And then Rix reveals himself, but he too dealt with as Def goes wrapping round. Desi anchoring middle catches Roka on the attempted flank. So drone 1v4.
Gets the gush, can't find the frag. And all of a sudden this is starting to transition into something. A T-half from complexity that's looking just competent. It's looking like Splyce are having some issues when it comes to locking things down. Granted, that was only the pistol in the transition rounds. So this is where Splyce really come to life. This is where the real challenge starts. This is where complexity may hit a brick wall. That is the op-out in Arya. That is the rifles. That is just a couple mollies. That's some smokes and flashes to really start to slow complexity down. Now this is really almost a critical round, is picking up the first rifle round for complexity.
Splyce have the advantage of the op, but complexity have been doing a very good job of just entering on their T side, so the 5 rifle buy might work out. Arya again on the CT side of Inferno, still the primary op, most notably, but that first shot goes wide, looks for the next, and he will take it. Surreal exposing himself and taking 1 to the noggin. It is going to be Splyce trying to hold it, and Arya hits 1 through the smoke. Excellently done. Passive angle being held from Semphis as he attempts to wait for the cross. Spray connects ever so slightly, but the bomb should still be planted. He's going to have to fade for the reload. And the 5v3 retake as Desi reveals himself towards the A site, though. This is going to be the CTs knowing there's a player to their backline.
I'm surprised they just don't go as quick as possible, knowing that Desi's going to be hella late. And you've already taken 1 out of the site. You think you'd push in immediately. Although they are to utility, and Arya has 3. There goes their last flash, as Def is just going to sit in towards dark. A late smoke blooms right in front of the site. That kind of baits Rix into peeking Desi here. And now it is just Arya. 13 HP. Nothing really going his way. He's going to try to get out of here with his life, but Def is holding for this and an easy cleanup. And I think Def may get out of here. He will, and he'll even pick up the op. So a 2K for him. Def's been having one hell of a map, even when his team is down. Him and Desi and Android, really. Those 3 players. Right now, just stepping it up for complexity and putting Splyce on the back foot right now when it comes to this buy.
Yeah, throughout the entirety of this game, it's definitely been those three, but in that one exact moment, it's all Slemmy. You see Splyce attempt the retake with 3 players coming in from the CT cross, and he actually lines up 2, killing one and dealing substantial damage to the next. So he kind of hinders that retake. You see the CTs hesitate, and it's then that the rest of compLexity get aggressive. Of course, Def to the back of Emo, catching one to the side of the head. That's, of course, just going to be a freebie frag, and then by that time, Desi arrives on the bomb site, forcing a 2v1 to compLexity's favor. But there was that window of opportunity where they know Desi's over at A, they could have ramped the retake, and when they try to, Slemmy knocks them down a peg. So that's a crucial damage dealt by him and frags found, but more importantly, it puts Splyce back onto pistols. This should be a conversion with ease. Desi's going to catch Arya, or rather Def does, with the help of Android, and then Semphis falls. So that's, again, this B-site crumbling, and compLexity just taking this lead back round by round.
Well, this is going to be 9 now for compLexity. There's maybe an attempted save from Splyce, maybe setting up for some exits. Although it is going to be a buy next round with max loss, right? You're going to hit that $3,400. This armor is almost irrelevant when it comes to your next buy. It's going to be a strong buy. Surreal is just going to be very cautious as they try to push down Banana. Now, an up given up would be a nice chunk of change for Splyce to at least save. We will see Arya be able to afford it, but if they can get one for free, that's always the better. As you'll see one of Surreal's players go in front of him, I hope. Yeah, that'd be Android. They still have to be cautious how they come around the corner. That's 2 weapons down. Def will try to get it. They will not clean up in the end, as Rix is now going to get caught reloading. That's awkward. So you know what? They may drop the op. It gets picked up from Slemmy. But damage done to keep compLexity at least from running away when it comes to their bank. Because if they find that round flawlessly, then it gets a little spooky.
He only loses a CZ, but that's now twice over 2 maps that we've seen Rix just re-peeking before he finishes his reload. Once on Train, when he doesn't finish the FAMAS, and now the CZ. CZ may be a little more excusable. That thing takes forever, but why not wait, man? Frustrating, Seaside. It's frustrating. Minor mistakes cost you. That could have been another rifle removed. You could be curbing the economy of compLexity, which is really starting to run away. I mean, we got 12,000 on Desi, 7.3 for Surreal. Certainly, Splyce back into the buy could deal some damage here, but they need to start and stop this offense of compLexity. Arya's going to get locked into this angle because the fire burns him in. So that's an easy pick for Android. He aggressively walks through the fire, walks back with 4 HP, and that's where Semphis will catch him. So it is a one-and-done trade-off here from compLexity, but that's still the 4v4 favoring the T side. If only Desi was sitting on more than 25 health.
Jeez. This game's gotten all of a sudden close. Looks like Dan was right when it comes to T side Inferno NA. We'll have to send him this game as a specific example. With Splyce not picking up a single CT round yet. Now Semphis can be the man to have impact here. One smoke though and he's neutralized. He has to rotate now over towards Spools, aka Coffins now, but there's a smoke there even hampering him, and maybe even a molly soon behind it. So he's going to try to play the gap, though. Spot Slemmy getting to dark, so that's info gained. And there you go, 2-man advantage. Semphis makes it good. Makes it happen. As the bomb goes down, though, Def and Surreal, no utility, trying to hold on against Splyce.
Def's going to get aggressive, though. He's trying to section a 1v1. The rest of Splyce have arrived, and they all peek at the same time. That's traded back. And it is just Surreal to the 1v3. Now he peeks out, hits the first. Know where Semphis is coming from, but that flash was fully blinding, and it allows for Splyce to finish the retake. Now that was a 2 versus 4 for compLexity, and they at least take 2 frags with them. So they dealt additional damage. They kept Splyce honest, but both of those ops move forward, and that's going to allow for the rebuy here from Splyce. However, that hard resets on the table, and we saw the damage it dealt to compLexity halfway through their CT side. This is the first round from Splyce on the defense, and if they were to get reset here, Seaside, you know it's gonna hurt.
It's gonna be probably an even scoreline if they get reset here almost. I think it's gonna be 10, 11. Yeah, probably 11. It's gonna get really nail biting. A bad habit to have, nail biting, by the way. I have it. It's rough. You know, I think I've shared more about my personal life this stream than I really plan to, Scrawny. But you know, you're just easy to talk to, my man.
Glad I comfort you.
Yeah, well, you do. Maybe not in a creepy way. Don't take it that way. As it is a double op from Splyce, Arya and Semphis. There's kits out. They have mollies. They still have some smokes. Zarya is going to hold towards boiler. Def's just going to continue to hold it himself. As compLexity looking more a little like an A-heavy kind of setup right now. But it's important that they do keep this IV pressure. I mentioned this earlier. They'll keep one player there. That's going to be Surreal with the op. Waiting for a peek. Waiting for anything. Maybe a flash to come over, a smoke. Trying to bait something out from Splyce.
You can see how Splyce are playing a much more passive B setup on their CT side. We saw round after round compLexity putting Desi at the forefront, smoking off the bottom of that portion of the map, and then just hanging on to it, allowing for the CTs to quickly flank and A execute. So this is going to be one of those rounds. See, compLexity now setting up for the A site because they took Banana. They know the CTs are playing passive, and that if they gear up towards the A site, there's no one coming in from behind. So it's going to be up to Splyce to actually hold the site and give time for the Ro8 to come in. Arya's able to find one frag, but Slemmy quickly quells it with a 2K of his own. Roka, the insurance policy, because he's yet to reveal himself. He sees Android planting the bomb, takes 2 of his own. Big defense from Roka as he re-peeks for more, but Surreal will hit the flick and the plant comes through. At the very last moment, they've gotten the bomb in, and this could be it. Splyce with the potential reset if they cannot retake. Surreal's over towards the pit, trying to lock it with the op, and Desi hits the headshot through the wall. That's a crucial frag that leaves a lot of pressure on the shoulders of Rix.
And he has no utility, but he has a kit. Spots out Desi, can't clean up the shots, and compLexity will send them back down to what is the equivalent of the Shadow Realm, $1,400. And you can see where they're sitting right now. They're going to have to take a save and get a buy next round. So this will put compLexity within 1 round. Now, that's if Splyce save here. There's still the possibility of, well, Rix's buy is going to suck. Roka's buy is going to suck. Heck, I'm Semphis and my buy is going to suck. Let's just buy half buy here. So it is just going to be upgraded pistols. Next spot, next round. Honestly, it could be the same thing. We could see a double save here more than likely because they love the op pressure. I feel like they almost need an op here on the CT side due to the ops just finding frags after frags after frags.
Right now, we're seeing the depth of compLexity's talent start to shine in. I mean, if you go back to Train, well, that was easily Android and Surreal with the hard carry, but those 2 players are now 2 of the 3 bottom fraggers. It is Def and Desi with over 20 frags each, and that's not to talk badly of the other 2, but that just goes to show compLexity are not a one-trick pony. However, they have lost a player over towards the B site. That was Def on an informational play, having found 1 frag, but also his death, leaving compLexity towards A. Roka going to dwindle down 1 player slightly. That's Slemmy to 33, but compLexity's still in full control of the situation, grouping themselves together and playing as a single cohort so that trades cannot happen. Drone going to find 1 more to the back of the site, but then again, it is quickly compLexity back on the kill feed. To the 3v2 we go.
Slemmy's holding the smoke. Rix as well. Semphis will run through it. And only 1 man exits. That's Rix now. He has 2 kills to his name, no armor. Just a Mac 10. compLexity should be easy living here on these 2 AKs. That's an interesting smoke from Desi. I don't know if I really like that smoke. But it doesn't matter at the end, as Rix is actually coming behind him. Don't tell me Rix kills him. Oh my goodness. And Rix is going to jump out. We'll find the one-on-one with Android. Spraying away profusely onto the pistol. 3K. Can't get the 4th, but you got to say that came way too close for compLexity. A little sloppy against these pistols.
Yeah, that got a little wonky, to say the least. I give credit to Android, though, staying composed as he had a player just barreling forward towards him. Rix with a last-ditch effort to take back the site and try to reset compLexity. That would have been awesome if Splyce can come into that round with only pistols and then just counter their own reset by forcing it upon their opponents. But that's not the case, and it does leave Splyce with a buy in this one. Not a single kit, lackluster utility, but the 3-man banana stack finds them in the opener. Def is going to find himself that 1 kill. Arya trading it back, not coming up empty-handed, but the CTs still split 2 per site, both of which on pit here at A. Surreal with the op, trying to creep around the arch side. And here's something new from compLexity. They're actually prying through arch. So if Android doesn't commit the bomb up highway, they might actually flank towards B.
Yeah, the one thing Def got is not only 1 frag, but he gained info. He spotted 3 players, and Slemmy's waiting for Rix to rotate, and it works out beautifully. And now Desi's going to send on this kind of alert kind of roll. They're trying to pull this player, Arya, back down towards Banana to stay towards B, but compLexity are just finding all the frags everywhere. They can go to either side at this point and just have full control unless they miscount for drone. Are they going to fully clear pit? As Drone will show face, finds Desi, can't land the shots required as he will crouch peek to his death, and Arya is just going to try to tuck tail and run, but Slemmy's saying, not today, not tonight. You are not getting away with that AK. We've played for long enough, and it's time for us to get this 2-0, as this is the final tack call from Splyce, I believe. So this is a tactical from Splyce, the final one. We're at 12-12, and it is a save from Splyce. We'll see some upgraded pistols. Arya probably won't spend a penny here, as he's going to wait until to get 4-round loss to get the op. But slowly but surely, compLexity have brought this back. Keep in mind, Splyce have gotten 1 round on the CT side.
Look at the amount of 1vXs currently on the table. I mean, we have 7 for compLexity, and we have 6 for Splyce. 7 plus 6, that's 13 Seaside. 13 clutch rounds of 25. 24 actually being played. So easily more than half of these rounds have come down to 1vX situations. That's incredible.
That's actually insane. And it's been mostly Def to win those, I bet, actually, for compLexity. I know, right?
I mean, the statistics prove you wrong, but
do they? Oh well.
That,
yeah.
that scoreboard
sorry,
on
I had
the
it.
screen there.
Yeah, I have it really, shrunk. So I'm squinting. Yeah, but Def wins 2. Those were the back-to-back 3Ks. Can I answer that question again?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I think Desi the one to have. Oh, Desi is the one to have the most with 4. Look at that. Roka's close. So at least Roka's actually turning up this map, which I feel is like a key that Splyce need. They have Semphis calling. They have Arya hitting the op shots required. Rix is on and off. Drone seems to be the most consistent on Splyce, but if Roka turns up, then the squad really gets start rolling. So he is turning up now, but the CT side seems to be having some bumps on the road, some potholes that our tax dollars just aren't filling yet.
Damn socialism. Splyce,
Damn.
4 players towards the apps, though. This is something new, so trying to get an initiative rolling. Desi going to keep an eye on the push. He's able to catch the first headshot. Arya rounds the corner. He's going to make noise, so Desi re-engages, but that costs him his space. Def from afar, able to find another frag and deal damage towards these 2. He expects the mid-peak, catches Semphis, but Semphis takes the frag. And while Semphis is taking frags, compLexity's taking bomb sites.
Well, compLexity will transition this into 13. The one thing Splyce have going for them is the 2 AKs in their hands. So if they can hold on to these, compLexity do have cash if they want to send a couple players hunting, which, all in all is not a bad idea. Slemmy's going to be the man to be first on the scene in towards Library. He's just kind of running out. He's hoping someone peeks him. He's definitely making noise, and Semphis peeks, and he finds headshot. So now he knows he's learned his lesson. compLexity will take a lead after, what was it, 11-4 half. An 11-4 half. compLexity will string the first 5 rounds together, and now they will string 4 together on their T side. This has been a hell of a match so far, showing you the strength of T side Inferno. Really, really how difficult it is to hold on to sites, especially if you're trading 1-for-1 right at the beginning of towards Banana. And I feel like a critical thing for CTs on Inferno is clean kills at the beginning towards, especially Banana. If you lose a player towards A, okay, they still have to run a fair distance to get to the site. You die towards Banana, that's so much map control given up that this T's can just take full control of.
Yeah, I feel like Banana's just step 1 on map control when it comes to Inferno. If you don't have Banana control as an offense, then every time you go into the A site, you not only have to worry about that fast flank behind you, but you also have to worry about the information you've given to the CTs. If they know Banana's clear, then odds are it's A, and they're going to bolster that defense. So it's really cool to see compLexity's T side because they take Banana first and foremost. It's actually this round that Def dies towards A. Normally they leave him over there, they clear out Banana, and then rotate that bomb back. But this seemed like a B site commitment from the get-go. It is going to be a smoke on the CT cross. Rick's removed from above, though, and the player in sight takes 1. That's Semphis, dropping the bomb in the open and stagnating the offensive. compLexity's still going to barrel forward, catching him with nades, but he is still standing, and he's going to clear into orange, and Semphis drops the bomb yet again until Android takes it back. Man advantage for Splyce, but that plant is yet to be secured.
The one thing compLexity have right now is time on the clock. That peak from Arya definitely doesn't help out, as Android's down to 52. Has to isolate some 1v1s here. And he's actually going to push this smoke. This is such a ballsy play. And Roka's ready for it. Android wins it. Low on ammo, but Drone will say not now. Take a little rest in the flowers, as it is going to be 13-13. As again, it's Roka to turn up a little bit. as it was a nice hold from Splyce. Aria with his op, challenging from Coffins, as it's 13-13 complexity. Now this is it. They're banks into this. They lose this round, they're going to have to take an eco, perhaps, maybe a half buy. Splyce have finally kind of dwindled that down over time, bringing these situations and just making sure complexity don't keep 4 or 5 players alive every round. As Aria has to be careful how he peeks this. He has Surreal posted on him. And interestingly enough, Surreal's the one to main the op now, where we've seen Def mainly having it so far in this series, and even on Inferno. This is a recent change, I think, like this game right now, because it's mainly been Def this match.
Yeah, and Splyce not wanting to go for aggressive B control. They have very rarely tried to clash in the opening portion of the round. Very content with just giving up complexity, all the map control, and trying to hold off on the bomb sites as well. I mean, that's something that you can do, but you need to rely on very strong holds. I mean, even look at the positioning from Sempis. It's not towards CT spawn. There's no way for him to go rotate to A. So they need to lock this down at the B site. And luckily for them, it seems like complexity are going to come charging through. Sempis getting that crucial first frag. And it was Sempis who gave them the win on the B site in the last round. You can't deny it. The flashbang, the surviving, and the clearing of 2 was crucial for the rotation off of Splyce. But now complexity, having lost 1 player there, they've changed directions and go towards A.
Surreal. Looking for something. Drone is playing this nice angle now. They hear the tick of that molly. This may bait out a peek from Drone, who hasn't been spotted, although complexity do have mid control, so Splyce have little to no info across the map. Def here's 1 player rotating off B, and here's him rotating back. Rix is just sitting second oranges, I believe, just playing very content to sit there, as Semphis has no problem finding that clean frag. Rix, they're not even looking towards sight now. Rix may kill his teammate, but he's got 2, so Semphis can't be too upset about it unless this round goes the way of complexity. And with 3 seconds, Rix isn't even going to check his corner. The story of this match so far, as Desi will fall after time. So that's a little heart-wrenching. We'll see a half buy for complexity. But all in all, Splyce get to 14.
And we saw 2 rounds strung together towards the end of complexity's CT side before Splyce again turned it on their head and locked out the last 2. So we can't give it away from complexity just yet. They will come into this one with somewhat of a buy. Double AK, triple sidearm, full nades. Let's play the counting game, Seaside. How many grenades get wasted preemptively because of deaths? That is always the most crucial mistake made by these kinds of buys, and I'd hate to see it happen now that complexity have almost made this comeback.
It's getting late. Splyce don't care. They want to push to a 3rd map. Ari's going to hold the smoke as complexity shift walk in towards A apps. They do send Slemmy towards mid. I imagine he has a smoke he throws from here, and a molly as well. His molly missed. It was supposed to land in sight. You can see it landing on top roof. There's the smoke that lands towards lane. Drone will return his own smoke towards porch, but right now a 1-for-1 trade is not bad for complexity until Drone's gonna strike. Gets 1, he gets a 2nd onto the pistol, and Drone gets 3 from pit, as Splyce will get to match point. And complexity have to now push for OT on what is gonna be a very lackluster buy.
Looks like we might be going to that 3rd decider map. 2 opportunities for complexity, one of which off of pistols. Very good hold there from Drone. Prioritizing targets. He could have very much committed to the 2nd man dropping off of the truck side, but instead he fixates on the guy in pit and then uses the sidearm to just jiggle peek for the 3rd. So that was a great play once he's finally tested on his CT side position. It is going to be the rapid execution straight towards this B site. Complexity just trying to come through. The smoke extinguishes the flames, but Surreal goes barreling through the next. Semphis sprays for 3, and Slemmy with 1 headshot is going to put up a fight, but complexity in a 2v4.
Now it is all Surreal on Coffin. Shut down from Aria. We are going to a 3rd map. What's that map, you say? It is Cobblestone. A map that we've seen Splyce play before, but we know complexity are not too shy of. So this is kind of a coin toss, just like Inferno was. And we have a close match on Inferno. Splyce will take it. A 3rd map's required. And I think I speak for everyone when I say go sign up for the giveaway. Bunch of cool stuff to be had there. Not only that, look at those frag distributions. I think everyone played pretty well this match. I mean, Surreal may have been a little quiet. Even when they gave him the op, he was still a little quiet. But Cobblestone is what's needed to settle this. And there's the giveaway screen. I kind of pushed it maybe a bit too quick, but there's the giveaway screen. CyberPowerPC.cevo.com/giveaway. Video card, solid-state drives, mechanical keyboards. Get your name in the hat, and we'll be back shortly with the final match in this final BO3 of the day. Hang tight. Hey everybody, it's late and we're tired, but we're still going. As it is 1:30 in the morning, I'm gonna throw a couple minutes ahead because why not? As we're on Cobblestone, the final map of this BO3 of the final one of the day. It's been a long one. We're still trucking, we're still going. The players are still playing, so we're still here talking about it. As this is gonna be the final map. And I personally am excited for it. Scrawny has his cap on, he's got his brows moving. Looking good while doing it. And we're ready to kill this. And then I'm going to go eat. Scrawny's going to go to bed. To each their own.
It's true. Are you ready, Seaside?
No, I'm drinking iced tea. I am not ready for this. I'll be honest.
This guy gets wild.
I'm good at parties.
All right, so here we have it. We've got Splyce. We've got compLexity. Again, it is getting late, so please bear with us, guys. We're going to give it our all here, but it is the knife round of the third map. We saw Splyce have a very convincing first half on that second map of Inferno just to be reset nearly by compLexity, who almost walked away with that 2-0 win. The train map that started off this series a while ago was just so one-sided, it was barely even fair. And now we have Cobble. Which I kind of put up in the air. I personally just have more experience having watched Splyce play on this map. I know that it is one of the maps that took off Pain Gaming at the MDL LAN finals, and I have not seen compLexity in general since the ECS relegation games, where they lost this map, I think, in double overtime versus B's Money Crew at the time. That outcome forced them out of the league. So that was the last time I watched them play it. It's been a long time since then, and it is about to be the last map of the series. Seaside, take us away.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning. Oh, not like... Yeah, my bad. I was about to say goodbye. Sorry. Oh, Splyce, no utility, Glock. Semphis accidentally had his on burst. So he'll do a little bit of damage towards Squeaky. As Semphis is going to hunt him down. Burst comes back on, and it is just a slaughter. As Splyce, you're going to now try to push in towards B while Rix will hold the flank. What has this round turned into? It is just all over the place as Desi's alone in a 1v3. Somehow, some way, my X-ray's off. Things are going crazy. I don't know what's happening, Scrawny.
Your X-ray is being cameraman controlled and later has it off right now. So the stream doesn't see it either. He'll realize.
This is why he's not working tomorrow.
But it is Desi 1v2. Now, right now, we've got the player on the bomb site. The second man's over towards the plat. Actually, both terrorists now in this direction. Desi's trying to single in on them, but they have yet to give him any kind of information. So he doesn't know if they're still towards Coop. He doesn't know if they're to the back of site. He has to be extra cautious clearing the corners. Now, you can't see it, but there's a man crouched behind those boxes. Now you can. He's incredibly lit. Arya gets tagged down to 14 health. Desi's going to have to pick up the pace here. Needs both frags, and he needs them now. Arya tagged even further, but he is still standing. Desi wants to take them both, and he'll find them. But there is just no time left for the defuse. That is Splyce with the pistol.
As hectic as that was, Desi somehow managed to reel it back in and find the last three. So it is going to be still 1-0 for Splyce, though. They get the bomb planted. They get out of there. They evacuate. Well, they don't evacuate. Desi evacuates. They all lie there dying. But they will pick up an AK, some SMGs. Arya, I imagine, will go for an SMG as well. Unless he wants to go with the AK route and drop it over. Yeah, he'll go for a MAC-10. So triple MAC-10, 1 UMP. I feel like MAC-10 is becoming more popular due to the nerf on the UMP long range. As compLexity go into the double scout with upgraded pistols. So really anything's possible just due to the weakness of the MAC-10s at range. We could really see these scouts doing some damage tag-wise, and the pistols cleaning them up.
Then again, Scout's pistols is a difficult sell on Cobblestone. Less long avenues. Of course, currently with compLexity having plat control, that's going to be one of the places they can exploit that, and then Def just has to sit to the far back side of A. But if Splyce prioritized drop down and come out of the short side to B, then suddenly that scout gets in question. Luckily, because of the armored pistols, they can try to hold drop instead, but it is Splyce now disengaging from that part of the map and heading straight to the A site. That's currently where Def holds alone with his scout, so as long as Splyce can smoke off connector, they should take the site with ease.
Roka. Cleans up Desi, gonna continue the push in towards the site. No one really left here for complexity. I'd like to see the players with armor tuck tail and run. You're not gonna get a buy next round. Why really feed the machine that is the Mac 10s? You're just gonna give a lot of cash up, and I think Surreal and Slummy are kind of realizing this now. Maybe we should peace out. Maybe we should try to not feed more cash into these players' hands than we really ought to be. As complexity, just gonna place some exit. Splyce will be up to number 2. And they'll have cash behind them. Roka's actually living on 1 HP, so he needs to start hightailing it out of here. It's through the door. Slummy spots a little bit of a drone, and we'll say, nah. Azok's going to get a second. Roka tries to jump it on 1 HP. Interesting decision, as it looks like Splyce are the ones just throwing away their SMGs, which they have to rebuy, because next round's another round where you can farm up. So, interesting decisions. And Arya's going to die. Like, everyone wants to go to bed.
Death and decay all across the bomb site there for Splyce. Their exits, not that great. Does cost them. Of course, we will find Rick's just reinvesting into the utility. And then the same for Semphis. He actually buys his Mac 10. So it's going to be a big investment for Splyce. Could have been a little less costly had they kept themselves alive, but that's not what happened. Complexity actually make quite a decent round of that, curbing the economy of the offense. But in this one, Complexity do just have that Scout and UMP. Sure enough, they've got the 1 smoke for Surreal and a couple upgraded pistols, but this should be a freebie in the bag. The counter boost gets spotted, and 2 targets soften thanks to the frag grenade itself. Meanwhile, Splyce still stays standing on 5.
So it's interesting from Splyce to go immediately into 4 AKs. So they're not going to be going for the heavy bank build like some teams will do. Because if you can find a lot of frags to your Mac 10 and UMP, well, then that's just pure profit after you pay off the UMP, and then you're all good. But instead, they go into the AKs. You're going to see Def get spotted towards window, down to 52 on his UMP. And he is going to allow them to get out window, and he's going to be the man to challenge. He's playing around pillar as Semphis gets gushed down to 19. Will repeat and find Android. And the rest should be pretty cut simple. Very cookie cutter here from Splyce. As they try to run in towards B. Rex just wants to take a duel with Slemmy, and he will cleanly take his head off. So 3-0 is going to be the start here. We'll have to see Semphis upgrade perhaps, or he'll be the man to get sent down drop. Yeah, so the man with most money will be able to throw him over. Maybe he's calling for an op, actually, perhaps. Who knows what he may be asking for here. Arya may be the one to get it. So there you go. Arya tosses over his AK. Nothing wasted. Gets up, dropped an op. Well, Complexity will have a mag. 3 M4s and an op of their own out of this Rio. Now, Def. Why is Def holding on to the M4 with no armor? Can you riddle me this one, Scrawny? Def has no armor, yet lets Android take the mag 7 with armor.
I don't ask questions past 1 a.m. Anything flies today. Splyce, they've got themselves the opportunity to clear out the economy of Complexity. The first gun round has arrived. And immediately you can see how the just tempo of the round has slowed down. Sure enough, Splyce are going for this early drop presence as they did in the last. Again, trying to frag grenade any players who would be close. But Complexity aren't opting to go for a boost, instead just playing more passive. Molotovs come in. That's going to ensure 0 presence, but Complexity still playing from the windowsill. Desi spotted as Semphis preemptively peeks. Smoke grenade to follow suit. Nice bit of utility to force them down, but can Android use the shotgun to his avail? First shot goes astray, and we still find a 5v5 with 45 seconds left.
I'm still triggered by holding on to this M4, not gonna lie. Android needs to be like, bro, listen, trade me here. Trade me up and we'll be okay. And Splyce are going to start to work towards the A site. Now, there are 2 players here for Complexity. Slemmy's playing close, and Def, the no armor M4, as I close my eyes while I say that because I don't want to believe it's real, is going to be playing towards Stables. And Slemmy's going to peek. Def goes down before firing a shot, and that's pretty much a clean entry, unless Desi have a hell of a round here, as he will just get shut down from Roka. So that is going to be a clean round from Splyce. 10 seconds, bomb goes down. Surreal's being hunted from Rix and Semphis. He's like the dinosaur from Lost getting hunted, as that is going to be 4-0. Actually, I never watched Lost, but I know there is some kind of creature that... Does he end up... Have you ever watched Lost? Does he get hunted? Can you spoil it?
Wasn't my reference. Don't pull me into this.
Okay. Well, I hope I'm right.
For your sake, I hope so too. Splyce to the 4-0 start thanks to the opening gun round. I mean, we just see them clean sweep the entirety of complexity there. Not a single player standing at the end of it, and not a single player down for Splyce. We get ourselves a pause called, and it is early on, so you could justify it, of course. Gives complexity ample opportunity to discuss not only this eco, but the full buy to follow suit. So, things are okay so far. It is very early on. Sure enough, Splyce get the pistol, they get the conversion, they get the first gun round, but we saw similar things happen on Inferno before they get turned back on their head. We cannot get ahead of ourselves, and complexity realize this. This is a very good call to take the break early on and just upset the momentum that Splyce have gained in the opening 4 rounds of this half.
Yeah, it's definitely a good time to take the pause. You can say, all right, what are we doing with our upgraded pistols? Take 5 seconds towards that. I'm like, all right, next buy. When we get the ops, we get the op back out, we can get the rifles. What are we doing? What's the game plan? We will have max loss. If we lose this, what's the plan? Where are we going? What are we doing? And, you know, maybe some aggression is the answer here. Maybe a long A push. Maybe peeking towards mid with the op. Maybe smoking deep plat right off the get-go like you can in CT spawn. And then pushing down towards plat and getting in towards B apps. There's a lot of options for complexity. I feel like aggression may be an answer to this. But hey. I ain't no expert. Or am I? I don't know. You said no questions, so you can't answer that.
I left you hanging. Tessie's going to rotate off of platform. He tries to spot the smoke first and foremost, but that's all it is. Just a smoke from Splyce. They do not go running through it. Last time they used this Molotov play towards drop down, Splyce actually re-engaged entirely from A site. So at this point, they are now conditioning the defense not to read into these nades. It is just the anti-eco, so maybe complexity won't read much at all. They're certainly not going to get anything done until Android and Slemmy find those 2 frags. Pinching into the drop down, grabbing one gun, and trying to chuck it over, but Android loses his life as Arya comes swinging wide thanks to the op shot connected. Bomb not yet crossed to the site as Slemmy has the AK, and he has the Kevlar as well to mitigate the AM punch. Smoke grenade goes wide. That's going to allow for him to exit, but he gets caught on his attempt to cross. Surreal, all that remains, and he's found himself 1. That's Arya done, but can he get the next 2? No. Drone finds the headshot, Splyce find 5, and that's a decent eco round from complexity, taking 3 lives with them.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. And here's the buy for complexity. The op comes out, thrown over to Android, thrown back to Surreal. So I don't know why, but for some reason, based on Inferno, I like the op on Def. The way this team jives to me, the way it was working on Train, Surreal's just been a little quiet for me. I feel like Def has been having good rifle rounds. His op's been, you know, on point. But maybe Cobblestone's a map where Surreal's going to turn up. Now, he does have an army of 4 players walking towards him, and he's playing a one-and-done angle, and he gets caught with a molly out. Summarizes his BO3 so far as Slemmy tries to find a refrag, and that is just Roka clickety-clacking some heads as Rix is going to play on the side of the smoke. He'll lurk out. Arya finds another entry, and this round is what you can call a slaughter.
Yep, another very convincing gun round. I mean, we saw the exact same thing happen as Splyce barreled towards the A site in the last one, and, well, history repeats itself. It happens yet again. Def executes Semphis with a shot between the eyes. That's something to play off of, but still 3 players stand for Splyce and only 1 on complexity. Def will certainly save this gun unless Arya comes wrapping full circle. However, at this point, 1 gun, not going to be much moving forward. You look at the economy for Splyce, it's already quite healthy. Roka on 10,000 prior to them getting the bonus of this win. So Splyce off to a fantastic start here on the T side of Cobble. We are 6 rounds deep, all of which going to Splyce. The pause has been called by complexity. They do not have any more breaks. And they do not have any more money to go for a full buy on this one. So it should just be a little half buy wrapping around the Catalyst AK of Def. Can they get something done? Maybe if they close the distance and get into the faces of Splyce, but currently Splyce are having themselves a fantastic T-side, and they have yet to make mistakes that show me what complexity can do themselves.
So I'm having one of these late-night thoughts that's not related to CSGO at all, and I'm wondering if you want a life tip. It's kind of a life tip for everyone listening. Are you interested?
I don't think I can stop you, so go right ahead.
All right, don't slide into a girl's DM with a picture of Floppy. I thought it would work. I thought maybe if she's a fan of CSGO, she'd know who that is, and maybe be into it, and maybe message me, be like, hey, are you Floppy? And I'd be like, yes. Didn't work. So life tip, don't DM pictures with Floppy's face, because it actually doesn't work.
You want a life tip, Seaside?
Hit me with one.
Don't bring up DMs while casting.
What's wrong with DMs?
They're irrelevant.
That's I warned you.
They have
Des
they get a kill. Desi falls back.
You.
He burns alive, sure to 7 health, but it's at least something. Look at this. Forward aggression on the A site from compLexity. That's something new to talk about, Seaside. We haven't seen that. Not in gun rounds nor pistols.
That's true.
Surreal's over towards the platform. We've seen that from compLexity, but he also falls back quite safely. Slemmy dies. And that's not a good look for them, as now the T-side have gun advantage, numbers advantage, and presence towards the site. But Desi with the Deagle's trying to find one, and he will. That's Roka out with a bomb planted. Surreal rounds the side of the pillar. He too toppled, and Android's next in line. 7-0. And they just keep going. They just keep going, Seaside.
They don't stop. 7-0. compLexity, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Damn. Rough. Do you hear this noise? I'm hearing noise in my ears. You don't hear the noise. I heard the noise. I clicked on a link, and all I heard was nothing whispering in my ear. He was whispering sweet nothings. So it is 7-0. Double up now from compLexity. Maybe this is the answer. Maybe this is the way it works out. But they have just one kit, a couple smokes. It's a lot. I mean, compLexity kind of need the opening pick. It's been a lot for Splyce. Just very overwhelming when it comes to pressure.
Roka's got a small gap to try and exploit towards Def. He also spots Desi, so he knows they're both there, but Def gets the best of him, and compLexity get the opener. Lummy has a softened Semphis, and he takes himself another frag. So here's Splyce actually hitting a brick wall. They try to entry into the A site like they have so many times before, but this time it costs them, at least in the opening bout. Rix is able to grab a single headshot, and Slemmy's flashed, but Slemmy's finding frags nonetheless, as Arya drops as well. There we have it, compLexity on the board, a strong A site hold with 4 players moving forward, 3 of which on ops.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So what's one more op in this situation? A triple op, kits are out, utilities out. They only lose 1 member, so money isn't that big of a deal. I mean, yeah, they'll have barely anything out on Desi due to the utility rebuy. Slemmy, or Surreal, excuse me, is a little poor. But you know what? All in all, not a bad round to pick up. Not too expensive. They go for the triple op. Might as well run with it. As Splyce are looking to hold for any kind of counter boost. Rix is going to continue to hold the smoke as Semphis pushes up. As Splyce are just working a default. They have Arya holding towards long A, a player holding mid. And Def's going to get boosted here. He has to be careful because there's a smoke that allows him not to really... It doesn't really net him much, this boost. He's waiting for the smoke to dissipate, and maybe someone from Splyce will take the peak dry.
We saw the attempted counter boost during eco rounds, never with an off. And it's a counter boost from Rix on the other side that pops the dome of death. Great heads up play from Splyce. They triple molly into the drop down, trying to find the bottom of the totem pole, but that man has retreated. Android over towards the rock. Splyce starting to get aggressive towards the platform as they have the 5v3. Android rotating towards the site, attempts to take an angle, but he loses his head in the process. Drone finding 2. The headhunter has only Slemmy left to find. As he swaps back to the op, he will retreat very similarly to what we saw on Inferno. Slemmy being that hard last rotate, just deciding to keep the gun moving forward. This is compLexity, sure, with 1 round, but also getting reset.
Well, the triple ops didn't work out, so now they're kind of floating around with just 1. Slemmy will have some money if he stays alive with the op. He'll be able to drop a teammate if they really want to. I mean, you're going to be down 8-1. You're reset going into round number 10 of the first half. Your CT side hasn't really net you anything. And there's not even a guaranteed Slemmy stays alive here. As you can see, there is Rix hunting, but I doubt he gets to Rapunzel in time. I think Slemmy's safe tucked away in this corner. So yeah, he will be able to live. Rix is just going to be a little bit of a distraction towards outside of it. But that is going to be 8-1. You'll see Slummy maybe drop a rifle if they want to buy here. Maybe throw the op over to Surreal. Yeah, so he will throw the op over. They'll buy upgraded pistols. So Slummy will stay on his P250. Doesn't have to really invest much. No, he's going all in. They're going all in. So they elude it for a moment, and then we'll go all in.
Going to be a hard sell. But we shall see. Splyce changing things up. Now, we have seen constant museum presence over towards the B site. And instead, while not executing directly into A, they actually push 5 of their players towards lower A instead. Maybe trying to read into, say, a counter fast flank or something along those lines. I think the one thing you can do with pistols as a CT when you're on these kinds of quasi-buys is to try and push out lower, maybe catch an Opper or a Rifler towards rocks. So it's cool to see Splyce read into the situation. They do something new when it's a round that has yet to be explored. compLexity, just facing a hard reset, are obviously going to come into this with something new, or at least they would have, and Splyce try to do the same. Regardless, it ends up with the exact same thing. Splyce set up 2 guys passively towards the A site. They put 3 over towards the drop down to try and pry for information. And this will be an eventual A site split. But compLexity have players towards lower A, and they've also dropped the bomb. Crucial frags from Android. This buy might work out, as it's a 5 versus 3, and Desi nipping at the heels of Rix knows exactly where he is. Takes the AK, but he's fully blind, and it still pans out. The bomb dropped yet once more. Def behind the final 2. This is a round for compLexity. They actually make it work.
Jeez. Def blind as well. Def blind as well finds a second. So compLexity, you're right. They make it work. Keep 5 members alive. They pick up a couple AKs. They pick up a second op. Thankfully, it's not the third. We saw that plays out. So at least 2 ops. Def and Surreal, the Brits, will be going to town with those. Going against the Americans. That's a lot of history there. As the rifles will come out for compLexity. Splyce will get a final good rifle buy here. Now, if they lose this round, they may have to take a little bit of a half buy / save. So this is kind of the chance for compLexity to turn it around. Now, if it doesn't happen here, and they just go back down to 1,400 here, they will buy. I imagine it's going to be a half buy again. But it's at the point where compLexity need to start stringing some rounds together. They need to start getting something on the CT side.
I mean, arguably, it's not too late. There was a time with Cobblestone where there were so many T-sided halves that you know, you could make the argument Cobble was T-sided. I think that was prior to the addition of the staircase over towards platform and prior to CT teams really understanding the importance of drop down. But again, it was there once upon a time, and some people still advocate for that argument, but I'd say it's much more 50-50. Either way, Splyce are still just in the realm of an 8-7 half. If compLexity can turn it on its head right here, right now, if they can pump the brakes and put a full stop to the offense, then there's nothing holding them back from at least a few more rounds. Something to keep themselves together into the second. We saw them bounce back nearly on Inferno. Why not here on Cobble?
Again, Rix is doing a nice job of keeping pressure here towards drop room. He's going to continue to hold for any kind of plat pressure. compLexity do have numbers here towards A, though. Def starts it off well. Slemmy's still playing close, and that's 2 for Def. Just finding skulls from APC as Desi's going to peek in the back of a flash. Desi sprays down, trying to find a second, but Drone needs some help. Still, as Def posted on his position, he is going to go for a little bit of a peek here, a good nade in, as Drone's going to pick up the bomb, and he's electing to continue this push. He knows he has at least 1 player isolated to sight, but look at Rix. He's opening up space towards B. I think he even just silent dropped out a window, as he is going to find Surreal, but no time. That kind of becomes the main issue, right? Splyce taking their time, then they kind of brawl out towards A, but compLexity with the numbers. And more importantly, what compLexity do to make sure they have a third man there, they rotate 1 guy towards connector, is they have 1 player spotting drop and a player peeking plat, so they know there's no chance there's anyone coming towards B, because they'd have to have plat control by now based on the time on the clock.
All of a sudden, this incredibly convincing T-side from Splyce has been put into question. 3 of the last 4 go the way of compLexity. And so Splyce fall back to what had worked sheer B aggression, but Desi locks it down. 2 rapid headshots, and he's looking for more. He's gonna find Drone. That's a 3K for Desi, near 4 until Arya finds 1 frag. But he is the last man standing on only a quarter health, able to flick for another. But can he do this? It would be an ace clutch to close it out.
And not today. Android's gonna put him down, so you're right. compLexity turned this around. And all of a sudden, 8-4. Splyce, well, they're the ones who have no money now. It's kind of flipped full circle. It's spun around, as it is going to be a tactical pause, their last one. So they're taking a pause to talk things through. There are, interestingly enough, though, I think this pause is a little late. Now, I don't know. Granted, it is later in the half, so maybe there's not a lot to really go on here. Like, you have 2 rounds left to really get something going. So maybe it's a late pause in some people's eyes, but I think Splyce really want to get the last rifle round, try to get 9, maybe 10 on the board. So there's still room to grow.
I agree with this. If you can actually keep compLexity, I mean, so there's 2 arguments to be made, right? Either you save that pause for the second half in case you need it later on and the game actually gets closer, or you take this opportunity to lock compLexity out at only 4 rounds in the half and ensure that going into the next half you have a very real chance of just winning off of the pistol. You could argue either way, seeing as it is just Tech9s and Kevlar into this with the double flashbang. It's going to be Splyce desperately parading into the B site. Over the wall they go. Drone already coming on in. Desi fully blind. Surreal as well, near caught out, but he's able to hit the shot. Surreal bailed out thanks to Def as Android finds another, and Android takes the last. Big rotation from Android off of drop down, finds the 3K versus the Eco, and that is compLexity securing 5. Do they push the limit to 7, though? That will be the question. Splyce coming into this one with a full investment should hold them back, or at least make it hard. But these last 2 rounds are certainly in the air.
And you see what I mean by Def opping? I mean, a couple rounds ago, we got 2 players towards long, and he's just putting up numbers again. I mean, I just love Def on the op. Surreal, you know, he hits shots once, you know, he does hit shots, but I feel like Def just puts himself in such advantageous positions to find frags, especially on Cobblestone right now. I can see the way he works around the map, and it's working out into his play style as he's about to peek mid, may find an opener for compLexity, which has kind of been the turnaround. Clean frags for compLexity, knowing when to peek opposite sides of the map for info, knowing when to flash peek, communications on point. As that molly actually spreads, then you can see how confused Ro8 is. He's like, how did I take a tick of damage? And the molly kind of split over the edge there. Look at all the drop down pressure here from compLexity this time around. There's 3 players in drop right now.
Yeah, they were...
Wait,
what?
Was there a molly still there?
It must have lingered.
Damn.
I mean, it still gets the job done.
Yeah.
Sure, it doesn't plume on the ground, but it obscures the vision of Semphis. Semphis himself is probably questioning that smoke, but either way, it's a response Molotov into the drop down, trying to burn those players out. That could actually help the B site defense as it blocks off the T side as well. You can see Android, who normally plays drop, committed towards plat instead. Surreal opping again, missing his first shot. Luckily, Android takes 2. Android still with bullets in the mag will find an assist and a frag. Rix responding with a kill of his own, but Def is all too strong, and compLexity continue to surmount this comeback. 6-8 the score.
Jeez. 6-8, it's starting to happen. Late half, pretty much almost around the half point of this half, it's starting to transition a little more to compLexity. Splyce will get a buy on round 15. It's AKs. Talk about pennies for utility. We're talking 1 smoke, 1 molly, 2 flashes, and a nade. They are running dry bones here. This is going to be an execution, and they're kind of hoping that it's not a free range for one of the oppers. They need to kind of isolate one of these players towards A, go on the back of it. Slemmy will spot it, drop a smoke, and fall off himself. And they can't really afford to wait behind it, but it looks like Splyce are going to. As look how eager compLexity are to rotate. They pulled 2 players. They pulled 1 player off drop and rotated another to window. So they are very antsy on the rotations.
Def's going to miss the first shot, but he hits himself the second. That's Arya out. However, Semphis finding 1. Def will take 2 more. big frags off the off from Def. He finds a 3K in the round, and compLexity managed to do it. 6 consecutive at the end of the half, 7 of the final 8. Talk about turning that on its head. Splyce left scratching theirs. I mean, my goodness, that comes out of nowhere. compLexity turning it up, not just on an individual basis, but the entirety of that team.
Man, that's insane to me. Again, it's Def, Desi, and I guess Android, right? The 3 core from Inferno transitions over here. They're playing well. Slemmy, they're all listening to Slemmy, what his calls he's making, the plays they're working around the map. You can see how structured they are. But it's also Def putting himself in these positions where his op can just thrive, get multi-kill positions, playing APC nicely. But he also knows when to get aggressive with his op. He's done a nice job of floating around, giving aggression, but also playing passive when he needs to. All around, a good CT half for compLexity. You're right, pretty much as 50-50 as we can get, mathematically speaking, we're there, 8-7. Now, this pistol, a little less weight behind it as we had on Inferno. A little less importance. Granted, it'd still be nice to get a nice 3-round start here, but that half was pretty much as split as we're going to get.
And to think the incredible start Splyce had. They must already be getting flashbacks to Inferno, where the entirety of the half went well. Not just the opening 7 rounds. However, it's them now on the defense. compLexity have put themselves in a prime spot to actually make the comeback. There's still new rounds to deal with, and Drone has had enough. He's finding 3 headshots on the pistol already. Surreal gets overwhelmed. Great play from Drone to just pop those skulls and give Splyce the start on the front foot.
Well, okay, they start off hot on the T side, and they want to get off to the same foot here on the CT side. They immediately buy it 2 FAMASs, and really thanks to Drone getting those 3K. The Scout even, interesting choice out from Arya. Get some utility behind it. So the triple FAMAS, I can't remember the last time I've seen more than 1 or 2 FAMASs bought up in a match. I don't know if that really has to do with the dumbing down of really the UMP, excuse me. I imagine it maybe has to play a little bit into that, but I don't know if you've seen this many FAMASs bought up at once, at least recently.
The FAMI have been quite prevalent, I would argue, in the Premier Division. I've seen more of a shift towards the FAMAS than UMP in the EU region as opposed to NA Premier. I feel like the UMP is still pretty bought up here, but the FAMAS is definitely being more present nowadays, just because of the range capability of it. Oh, that frag, though. The entirety of compLexity get damaged by that. Now they're all softened targets, easy for the pickings as they come still barreling into the B site. Drone finds another, but it is Desi with another trade back. So these Tech 9s, despite being tagged, are still dealing damage. Arya with the CZ is going to find one. Drone drops the bomb towards Coop, and now he can just sit on it like an egg. Surreal going to try to clear him out, and he will deal damage, but not enough. Drone locking down bomb sites time and time again. Slemmy sits on 7, and he's got 3 players to deal with.
Drone just did a little bit of a ring around the chicken coop. He gets caught reloading in the coop and just does a full loop while someone's trying to chase him down. And he ends up finding that frag as a player finally peeks him. Bomb gets dropped. 10-7. Clean start from Splyce. They only lose 2 members, one of which being a FAMAS, so Ro8 won't mind getting dropped an M4 into his hands. Arya will keep with the Scout. As compLexity, it looks like they're not going to invest anything here. Not a single penny. Normally you see maybe 1 P250, maybe a flash. Just something to really, just give you something going for themselves, but it is just Glocks. Now, once in a blue moon, Glocks will pick up a round. Now, a bomb plant here would be exceptional for compLexity, and they're not stopping. This train has one destination, and it's the A site.
And that's where Arya holds. Now the rotation already being pushed over thanks to the call from Rix. Rix takes 2 as he flanks from behind. Finds himself the 3rd as well. It's only Android standing. But he's been dealt with. Splyce find 11, 7 still for compLexity. And that's the pistol and consequent conversions for Splyce. Now, can they continue with the success having compLexity on the rifles? That's going to be a big question. We've yet to see this happen. It's a 4-point lead for Splyce before things get started, but not too long ago, Seaside, I remember when they had a 7-point lead.
That's not that far ago either. This game's been kind of chunking by a little bit. been going at a feverish pace. Arya's going for the mid pick with a scout, electing not to upgrade. And if he can get a frag with it, I mean, more power to him. There's some sprays coming through to cover his peeking. They won't think that someone's going to be peeking if they're spamming through the wall. As they get 4 AKs out, 1 UMP. And the T's do have a decent amount of utility, but so do Splyce. They have these mollies, they have the flashes. They pretty much have everything on their hips that they ultimately need to shut down any kind of aggression from compLexity, at least early on. And it comes down to how much time compLexity are willing to dwindle off the clock. As Arya's put in a rough spot with this CZ. I think they have a good idea that he's around here in danger. Slemmy's going to jump in and clear it, and yeah, just damage dealt from Arya. Not much you can do with a scout and a CZ, although the CZ will fail him close range.
Start to the rifle round. Of course, it costs Slemmy his health bar. Utility as well. Deleted. 2 smokes and a flashbang left for compLexity. Semphis re-smokes Plat, and he will stay aggressively push forward. I like this from Semphis. He has himself the ump. He's not going to play the typical back corner, but instead just wait on the other side of this. And he can hold this until it starts to fade. Even once he fades, if the flash comes in off of it, he might be able to get a kill. He actually catches Slemmy with 7 points of health. That's an easy freebie. But Roka falls thanks to Android clearing out the site. Man advantage still being held onto for compLexity, but they've yet to cross here. Splyce going to take this opportunity to boost the man up and around the offense. And meanwhile, Android boosts his teammate as well. So verticality in play from both sides of the spectrum. However, a gun duel towards long. Surreal spotted. Rix as well. Def will take a kill. And now they're just going to isolate the player from platform. Here's where the boost counters the offense of Splyce. Now that they know he's here, the entirety of the T side can just assume the drop down control. They can play from the opposite side of the bomb site, almost as if they were CTs to begin with. And this leaves Rix to save.
And save he will. I don't think compLexity are going to be trying to throw away these rifles anytime soon. Now, Splyce have built up a comfortable little Easter egg, aka a bank behind themselves, a piggy bank, if you will. They're going to be able to tap into that. They might have to break it with a hammer, but they will be able to get a buy-in. An op will come out. Rix can even drop the AK over to Semphis if he wants, or Semphis may get an op. It's really up to them how they want to play this. So Arya will continue on with the op. Semphis gets his own M4. Rix gets the AK after dropping a teammate, and utility will come out in a decent amount. It's enough for Splyce to really make a comfortable buy here. And compLexity, interestingly enough, not leaning towards the op early on their T side. They're feeling confident in their rifles. They're gonna try to find these engagements, and it really comes down to how much impact Arya can have, and that may lead to compLexity maybe eventually trying to get the op on their T side. But as of right now, they are op free.
And we saw 7 consecutive rounds from Splyce on their T side before it hit a halt. 1 round finally found for compLexity on their T side in the opening gun round. So either those pistols and conversions are going to be a grace for Splyce. And again, if you win the pistol and get 6 rounds because of it, it's really hard to throw a game. But it's doable. Especially if compLexity can turn this one around here and now. If they get reset, then Splyce are sitting fine and dandy. compLexity get an economic advantage. They can just start barreling into the B site using the aggression to assert themselves. Either way, a double flash towards Plat leaves Roka half blind. And he spots no one as of yet. Still, a lot of presence here from compLexity. They're going to keep 2 players towards the A site, but the bomb is here at B, and flashbangs come raining up and over. Offense tries to retreat, though, and they're going to fake this back towards A.
It's Desi from Tree. Spot him off. Def will find Rix, and the push is coming in now. There's a player. Stables is Arya. That's a Stables player, and he's got one looking for a second. He's got it, and he gets the quick shot on a Def. He's looking for more. He can't find the 4th. Semphis will help him out. Brings it to a 1v1, and Semphis can't close it. Surreal gets 2. Arya made that so doable for Splyce, but Surreal will hold on to your bridges, and will pull compLexity's shorts up and hang on to that round just by the skin of your teeth.
That's crucial. The hard reset there could have so strongly hindered compLexity moving forward, but they've gotten it done. Now, of course, we do still have the buy from the CT side deflated. It is just the pistoleros here for the defense. Rix gets aggressive, and he tags Slemmy ever so slightly. Slemmy slimes away, back to the bottom side of A. Drone, meanwhile, gets boosted up into the counter boost. Desi clears it. Great up-close headshot to take the threat out of the corner and to keep barreling inwards. Arya going to get spotted as he tries to cower towards the rocks. It is, of course, Semphis and Roka still towards the site. Desi comes on inwards. He's going to find one frag as Semphis does the same. Def trades it back, and Roka, the insurance policy, could get snubbed out. Tries to gamble by looking into the corner. Def will find him for free, and essentially compLexity do that with the round. Only losing one player is by far no real loss. It is just Rix on the flank, and at this point compLexity take 10, so both teams on double digits. But this T side from compLexity looks dangerous.
It's starting to get that way. As soon as they get rifles in their hands, they're able to transition it, and more importantly, they keep 3 players alive, and now they're looking to keep 4 alive here. Yes, the round before they kept 1, it came down to a clutch, but at least they'll keep the op. Def does a little farming on the Mac 10. So this is all in all not a bad start for compLexity as they start to transition these rifle rounds. Rix will keep the armor. Will the bomb do a damage? Or, yeah, it will. I guess Rix's goal here is get a rifle, but now he can't get that $300 upgrade to head armor.
Man,
now,
we've seen that.
I don't think that's worth it. You know what I mean?
We've seen that actually thrown away like 4 times,
Yeah.
5 times throughout the entirety of the day. I mean, it's such a small little detail to get strung up on that it's really kind of not worth our breath. But it's just one of those small details. It's like players who buy head armor in overtime on CTs.
Yeah.
It's just one of those small little factors that you can so easily not think about. But at the same time, it has a very real impact on the game moving forward. I mean, each half is based on the 14 rounds before it.
Couldn't agree more. As Arya starts this one off well. Able to find Desi, so at least Splyce find an opening this time. compLexity will lose that presence towards outer yard. They still have Surreal over there with the op, and now compLexity going to rotate the bomb out. Def may get jumping mag 7 here. Strong possibility, as neither player has spotted each other. Drone is just playing this. That's such a safe jump spot.
Notice how he's jumping without making noise, though.
Yeah, the crouch jump.
Yep.
Love it. Underused, as Drone will make presence now. Def will face. That's a scary peek to take against a mag. I would never do that. That takes a lot of confidence in your Mac 10. As Def will clean it up though, and he's going to continue. It looks like he wants to continue some pressure towards B, but he realizes that the importance is towards drop.
Now Arya moves one player off thanks to his peek from APC. Rix still boosted on Humpty Dumpty, and Arya gets super aggressive. Exposes himself fully to the op of Surreal. Rix whips back round, finds the headshot. The bomb plant shines through, but Slemmy's now the last man standing at a 1v3. He's trying to section off long, but the threat is ever so close. Semphis towards his backside, Rix in front. And it's Rix who takes the kill. Semphis takes the defuse.
Oh boy, it's getting a little closer now. compLexity, it's the first round they'll lose once they get rifles out. And it wasn't too expensive for Splyce. I mean, they keep 3 alive. Bomb does go down for compLexity though, so that's money. They're gonna buy up. And the op comes out from Surreal. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, is this not the first time we've seen the op out for the T side of compLexity? I believe it is, right?
You are correct.
So maybe this may catch Splyce off guard, who are going for the double ops themselves. So maybe a peak that they feel is normally comfortable due to compLexity not having that op presence will no longer be as safe. As Arya is going to be posted here, that flash will make him turn away. A player did cross already, but you can see how safe Arya wants to play this. He realizes that someone could have crossed and will just fall down in towards danger. He has help from mid, but he's very isolated here.
I have to praise the opping of Arya. It's actually been quite decent over these last 3 maps. But I can't help but wonder if it leaves Semphis at a disadvantage. He's kind of been the primary op for this team for a substantial amount of time, and this is the first time I've seen it not being used. And then even now with the double op setup, it's Roka. Maybe it's based on positioning, seeing as Roka's as B, but either way, it's Surreal who takes him down. So there's the opening frag for compLexity. Their op pays off. Semphis will retrieve it. What are you made of?
compLexity are grouping behind the smoke. They're letting up molly, smokes, flashes their own. They actually full blind themselves, as Drone is going to be sitting behind double stack here. Drone will get some bullets launched in here through the smoke, finds one frag. For Android to immediately trade it out, and too many targets for Def to line up here. As through the smoke, Rix finds Desi, and that's huge. Gives room for Semfitz to peek, who has two now, as Surreal's alone and shredded down from Rix. Rix and Semfitz together will pick up 2 frags apiece, sending Splyce to 13. And sending compLexity to an economic rough spot where it's going to have to be pistols. You allow Splyce on 14. We may see a half buy here from compLexity, maybe some utility. We haven't really seen a lot of quick drop plays from either team. So look for that maybe coming into fruition here into this round, as double ops get bought up again from Splyce.
Yeah, Splyce's T-side had that heavy utility on drop where they would just use the Molotovs to clear it. I feel like Tech 9 rushes don't work out as often anymore, but they're still going to try it, with Desi leading the charge and rapidly jumping through connectors, seeing Rix already. Rix able to grab one despite being caught off guard. Android's going to trade it back immediately, though, and Arya spots targets aplenty. Semfitz on a rotate, able to grab 2 thanks to the 5-7, and that's Slemmy on the site now in a near 2v3, but Def now all that remains as Semfitz finds another. Great sidearm play from him, but he is still dropped as Def with the op able to connect the shot. Molotov to burn off the hill. This forces it into the 1v1, and that's why Def peeks wide here. He's buying himself the opportunity to peek, but Ro8 all the wiser. He's not going to expose himself whatsoever. Def smoking himself off, reveals his position, but still able to cross into the crosshair of Drone, who takes the final kill and puts Splyce one short of overtime. The rapid drop-down play gets the map present Seaside, but it doesn't get them the site.
That was scary too, because no one from Splyce really heard them coming down drop. They ran, one player from Splyce who were in there, jumped in drop early, put the molly down, then just pieced out towards outside E-box and didn't hear them exactly all falling. Now, the one thing that saved Splyce were the quick rotations. As soon as Rick spotted them jumping out window, they were there to help out, but that got danger close. As Arya just misses Desi crossing, so 3 AKs, 2 UMPs is the buy in this round. No bomb plant. That would have helped this buy quite a bit. As you can see, they have 1 molly. There it goes towards stairs. I believe actually that's a second in the same spot. That's definitely a little bit of that nade. So they use utility early and don't really get much off of the back of it. As Arya has to contemplate falling back as he doesn't take the bait on the first player jumping, but a good flash. As Rix in the meantime locks down long from danger. As he gets 2 for his life and Arya a lovely peek. So that's what you like to see from Rix, getting 2 for the price of 1.
Drone mid-cross, able to grab another headshot. That one's on to Desi, and Def is just as dead. Splyce, find 15, secure OT, and it's going to need 5 consecutive rounds from compLexity if they want to make overtime happen, if they want to extend this series and extend their life in the CyberPower Extreme Series 2017. There's a lot in the line here, Seaside. A chance at their portion of $15,000 and bragging rights as well. It would have been an upset, arguably, from compLexity versus Splyce. They make that first map happen, but since then, the struggle shines through. And this is Splyce with a very real chance of closing things out.
Yeah, Roka's playing very close to this smoke. As time starts to dwindle down, and Arya's already got the opener, so this is perfect for Splyce. They don't even have to push for any kind of info. What a flick from Ro8 to take the head off of Def, as Surreal may have the same fate, and yes, he will to the hands of Ro8. As Desi may get 1 and pick up the op. Try he will, try he might. But the numbers are just so promising for Splyce, especially with Android stuck now in drop room. Has to fight out with a tech. He may find 1, but immediately traded from Semfitz, as they know exactly where Desi is.
And there we have it. The 4th team moving into the semifinals of the tournament will be Splyce. They take one on the chin as they get dumpstered on train, but they have the form.
It's late.
They have the form to close things out in the series. So good job, Splyce. You have done it. You've survived the test of compLexity. compLexity, unfortunately, falter and fall a little short.
Yeah, I think that's all that really needs to be said. So there's all the matches that went down today. I'll walk you through it. Misfits beating Denial, they move on. Optic 2-0 COG Academy, they move on. Ghost with the upset over Luminosity, and a close BO3 to end the night. So all in all, a great day of CS. Some upsets, some close matches, and looking forward tomorrow, perhaps, Can we look at tomorrow, perhaps? Angel on my shoulder? Never mind, Angel on my shoulder. Ignore me. Let's go to our faces so you can see how cute we may be. I'm not cute, but we'll run with it. So thanks.